Yo.
Yeah. I still love the whistling at the end of the intro. It's like, yeah,
Woo!
woo. It's like, it gets you nice and hyped for everything.
We got to hype everybody up. It's the fucking show. It's the
It's a hype
podcast right
up.
here.
It hypes me up. So that's what we need to get going. But again, thank you everyone for joining us. Everyone who's watching live. We are at 118, episode
118.
118. Unbelievable.
And we're just getting warmed up still. This is 118. We're just getting warmed up.
Now we're starting to like get all these different unique people, new generation, old generation, people in skating, out of skating, YouTubers. It's been fun, and thank you everyone for joining. We really appreciate everyone who's been joining us, and our Patreons and our guests, our subscribers. Thank you very much. We have a very special guest today, Rawlinson Rivera. But before we get into that, let me do my spiel as I've done 118 times. So please, if you don't already, follow us on all of our social media platforms. I'll go to our Facebook, give us a like, go to our YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. When you do that, you get an alert when we have these live episodes and you can join us if you have some free time. Please, if you like what you're hearing, leave a comment as well. Sharing our stuff helps. It helps with the algorithm, helps boost our thing. We have an iTunes. You can give us a 5-star rating. You can give us a review if you like what you're hearing. And we also have a Patreon. On our Patreon, you could be a patron for as little as $3 a month. We offer exclusive content. We do 3 pieces. We have inside outs, which are in-depth trick tips. We do section reviews, and we're going to do one today with our guest, a very cool one. So you might want to stay tuned for that. And every month we do a random drawing, and you could be eligible to win something for free from our online store, whether that be a shirt, a mug, or a hat.
A hat.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Did you like that, Austin?
I like that one.
But thank you, everyone, for who's joining anyway. And if you're watching live, if you're watching anyway, please hit the like button. Yeah, thank you very much. That's my spiel.
Yeah, it's your spiel. We have a few new Patreon supporters, as usual, a shout out this week. You guys are really pushing my name pronunciation to the test right here. But special shout out to Robert Substan, Michael Trilford, Johan Thylot, Justin Kilcher, Subtract Manufacturing, Christopher Archer, Josue Estrada, Michael Trilford, and Jason Mosley. Thank you all so much. We do have a new video on our Patreon that we posted from last week's episode with Dominic Sagona. We watched a few of his sections. I know some people commented in the video description on YouTube saying like, oh, why didn't you guys go to some videos and stuff? We did it. It's on our Patreon page. Go check it out. Link in the video description to be a part of our Patreon community. And let's check out some quick comments from our last episode also with Dominic Sagona, episode 117. We have Curb Surfer, who said that it was very inspiring and eye-opening to think about the amount of time spent on the ground and trying to make that look as good as the trick in the middle. Change my perspective. That changed my perspective too.
That was a really good point. And, you know, it's funny. When he said that, I remember him saying that a long time ago. But it'd been so long since I heard it, I completely forgot it. And he's been hammering that point in for quite some time. So that's a bit of his skating philosophy. So it was cool that he remembered to bring that up in the podcast because it's a cool piece of advice.
That blew everyone's mind, and that was like one of my favorite little like highlight clips that we have on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. Was just him preaching that little spiel of his. It was really unique, and I'm glad that somebody like him was the person to say that stuff because, as everybody said, he's like the style master. We also have one more comment from Mike DZ Visuals, who says, Bro had us skating in t-shirts on our heads and wearing 2 completely different colored skates. That's all he said. I just like that one because
that's real.
We did talk about it on the show, and it was pretty funny. He was just
Austin. Have you skated with a shirt? You skated with a t-shirt on your head before, right?
Never on my head.
No,
no, I don't think so. No,
you were on Be Unique, man. You didn't do that.
No, I did not. Did you do that? I don't remember that. I remember you had like bandanas and shit.
I've certainly like had a t-shirt on my head. I don't know if I've gone as far as to like get a clip in it, but I was experimenting back then.
Was that why Alex and Brian Allen had him on his head too? Was that because of Dominic?
Of course.
I didn't even notice that. I just thought that they were swagging out on their own.
It was happening in culture, like outside of skating, right? But yeah, these guys were bringing it to skating. So I'm not sure if it was who influenced who, or if it was just outside influence, or it was just they did it on their own. But it seemed like 2 different movements with that. But yeah, you know, that was fun experimenting back then with, you know, how to dress.
Different
I don't
styles.
know.
If you
Yeah.
skated with a shirt on your head, let us know in the comments below. Let us know and
Yes,
give it a
please
like
do.
too, because I'm curious how many other people did that as well.
I mean, he was right. The guy said, "Bro, had to skate with t-shirts on our head." He wasn't wrong.
I
So
was not wrong. Um,
yeah,
we have like every week we have a WTF, and this is WTF veteran. We actually had him on a few weeks ago, but we believe this is an NBD right here, so we had to feature it again by Danilo Senna with a 1620. Count the rotations. I already lost count. We should have started from the beginning.
you got to.
How many is it? Like 5.5?
It's a
Who's good at math?
900 plus a 720, so that would be 4.5. That's a quadruple and a half
Oh, I
axle.
gotta watch that. 1, 2,
That's the
I
second.
mean,
That's the
3,
third.
4.5.
Four.
Jeez, 4.5.
Oh my god, dude.
I remember learning like 900s, and I
That's
was like,
ridiculous.
how do you even keep track past that? It's
And with
insane.
that, we're ready for the Olympics. We're ready. That's it.
Let's go. Let's
That's
do
it.
it.
Now I wasn't sold before, but now I'm like,
After that,
dude, we're because listen, those numbers matter, man.
Who
To
else
the
is doing
outside eye,
16? Yeah,
those
outside
big
of
numbers
snowboarding,
matter.
who
Yeah.
else doing 1620s? Even on like mega ramp shit, you know?
Yeah, snowboarding doesn't really like they're like I think in the 2000s I think they've actually gone to like those numbers in terms of spins. They get so
Maybe
much air and they can just keep on spinning. But
maybe I haven't
I don't
watched
know.
snowboarding in like a decade or two, but I wouldn't doubt that by
Yeah.
any means. But yeah, you're right. We're ready for the Olympics. Let's go.
It's so much math in the snowboarding. You got to be like a quantum physicist in order to like figure out how many the degrees of rotation.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see that clip not in slow mo because it would just be like a big blur. You know, like how would you, if you're watching that in real time, how would you even commentate on that? Maybe our guests would be able to shine some light on that since he used to commentate a little bit on contests back in the day.
That could be cool. Yeah.
And with that being said, are we ready for our guest?
I think we are ready for our guest.
Hell yeah, let's bring him in. Everybody, please give a warm round of applause for the Mr. Rawlinson. There we go. Yeah, welcome to the show. I almost said your last name. Had to have it.
that's cool.
But I never realized that you're the Madonna of skating, as you say. You only go by Rawlinson.
It was a joke, yeah, but it stuck
It was a
around.
joke.
It was a joke.
My roles,
All right.
but it stuck around.
Now there we
Cool.
go.
Rawlinson, wow. First of all, thanks for coming on the show. It's, every time I see you, it's an honor to see you. It's a pleasure to see you. We met a long time ago in New York, and you've been around in like the New York skating scene from way back in the day, from as early as I can remember. And there's so many things I want to talk to you about, you playing baseball growing up, maybe going pro, you commentating, getting into all your skating, MTV, all these things. But before all that, let's get into the beginning of Rawlinson Rivera. As a kid from Washington Heights, he somehow discovers inline skating, rollerblading, whatever you want to call it. How did we discover this? How did it all begin for you?
I was already playing baseball. I was a pitcher. And the one thing that I hated the most is the winter and the sort of spring training where you have to basically run. With my dad, it was like I had to run 5 miles every day. And it just became a very boring thing. Running for me was like fucking killing me. So I figured if I could go around Central Park with some sort of way, it would, do the necessary exercise. It would work out. So I started kind of just rollerblading one day. But I played ice hockey in the winter. And then I was a skate guard at Riverbank State Park, like on 145th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And then once this winter ended, they turned the rink into like a rollerblade rink, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I was gonna keep working there for the summer, be just kind of just messing around with girls and all whatever. It's cool. And I started looking for rollerblades. The so-called inline skating back then was becoming the whole thing now. And then that's when I first discovered on the rollerblade catalog the Tarmac CE.
Okay, so why did you want to find those? Was it hockey related, or you wanted to do like
So I,
inline skating?
so I got to really get on the aggressive side, as we would call it, through the hockey stuff, because I wanted to use them at the beginning to just go around, Central Park, which I had my first pair of skates were a pair of rollerblades, like VTX 1000, if I remember the name correctly.
What? You remember the name?
Right? Yeah, put it that way. It's not good. And I think I'm right, you know? And then after that, it was a Tarmac CE. And then I started jumping on the rails and I started doing all this crazy stuff and ended up in Central Park. And the rest is history.
Oh, wow. So, okay. So Central Park, like down by the stage, right? The flats, like on 72nd Street was where like a lot of inline skaters would skate back in the day. And it's weird because I feel like that was a place that they also did like the dance skating. They had like the dance skating not far from that. And they were like,
they still do it to this day.
The cones and everything. And like the even roller skaters who were dancing. And that's always been like that place in New York in Central Park. And during that time, there was the aggressive skaters kind of mixing with that. So I guess
we weren't in the same area though. We got to get that correct. So there was the area where back then we were like, total punks, right? So there was a space where like down the way there was the area where like they danced and did all their stuff. We were towards the benches where the really long benches were together, which went down the sort of stairs to the tunnel that leads to the water fountain. Mm-hmm. So we used to try and grind those benches and destroy those benches all the time. Like that's where Ryan, Dave, Ani, me, and all the FR crew sort of came and all the whole craziness started from there. But that was the spot right there and there.
I don't know how you guys skated those benches. I always wonder too, because they're not like regular benches from what I remember. They're like curved kind of.
Yeah, they're like wooden, not good.
They were, listen, I think back then they were pretty legit. They weren't really, maybe, I don't know, whatever, but we messed them all up, first of all. But they were pretty legit. And I remember trying to solder on like the entire thing. So I would just go way back and skate as fast as I could and try to and shit would happen. But, because they were pretty good. They were good.
Now that Billy mentioned that, like all like the roller, like not like roller skaters and the dancing skaters, I don't know what they're called, but used to be in the same area. Now it reminds me of a clip of you from either Fast Shoes or Suitable Material when I think you sold the bench, do like a monkey plant out of it, you land and you do like a shoot the duck kind of heel roll thingy. Was that like inspired from any of that shit? Like skating with those people in that area? Now that I'm thinking about it.
No.
No?
I was either going to fall or back then I could finally stand on one skate and like roll backwards, but that was it. It was not because I was trying to dance with my skates. No skills there.
That's like a very unique trick too, especially like not that many people even still now like starting to dabble in that type of skating too.
It's hard to go down and hold your weight on one skate while the other one is up, but I don't know that I meant to do that though, to be honest.
That's what I was alluding to, if it was intentional or not, because if it wasn't, you pulled that shit off. That shit was finessed.
One of those things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so back in the day, like you had like a pretty big reputation in New York. From the very first videos I watched, like I said, like I saw you on, I think one of the first things I saw on skating, it was like the MTV Sports. You were skating Stuyvesant. You open your shin up, which I think was the thing. I think that was in No Limits, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And you open your shin up, and it's this whole thing. You go and like I remember seeing Arlo in that bit. So how did you go from going to Central Park skating, getting involved in this, to meeting people, having these connections, and seeing that this thing was kind of taken off?
So there's a huge gap missed there.
Okay.
So I started skating in Central Park because it was fun. It was where everyone would come. And, in New York, when you're young, you try to always front, you try to be all cool, and you're at the spot, and you try to challenge everybody and whatever they're doing. And at the flats, too. This is how Ryan, Dave, me, and everyone was just kind of supposedly catching beef with each other, like best friends ever, right?
Right.
But it was just like a facade, right? The FR against whoever, and they were like the cool crew and all that. So there was a guy that worked for Kryptonics, and they had a product, I don't know if you guys remember, called Skids.
Oh yeah.
And then because I could do the stairs and because I could do grind, whatever, the dude asked me if I could just put one of those things on. He worked for Kryptonics, and he would hook me up with some wheels. Remember back then, wheels were kind of expensive. We were blowing those things out every other minute. I didn't have the money to be buying wheels all the time. So I did that, and he sort of linked me up. One time they recorded a video, like a promo video like they always do, and that got handed off to somebody, and then somehow my name was given to Evan Stone. So Evan Stone came to New York and asked me to meet him at the banks. I met Evan Stone at the banks at the same time as I met Brian Smith. And then we started doing the first video that I ever did, which was called Mad Beef.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Beef was like with Dave and I, Dave Ortega, right? Dave and I had the sessions. Ryan, we had the sessions in New York. And, that kind of started building. But Mad Beef was what kind of got me to sort of get noticed. Brian Smith was a big part of that. He was in that. And then Evan, who obviously is the man who created the Hoax and all that. Evan brought us all together. Evan brought me, Arlo, Brooke, Mike, Brian. The core of the Hoax, the core of the whole era was put together by Evan Stone. And then through that, Evan used to work for MTV. Funny thing is that, I got some sort of publicity from that, and you know how it is in New York, whatever, and that became a little popular, which was cool. And thanks to Ray Mendes, okay, and Neil Moreno, who filmed No Limits, right? Funny is that John Ortiz and I used to go to school together, and we actually were in the same classes together in high school.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yo, and listen, John Ortiz came up to me like, "Yo, you skate?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's up?" And out of nowhere, we were like super tight, cutting school at Ray Mendes' house, which is right like a block away from our high school. We must have cut like a whole freaking year, right? And through that stuff, we ended up doing I think Ray's, to be honest with you, Ray was the one who sort of may have done that whole, that episode for MTV Sports. And then I think it was Ray, to be honest with you. And we always talked about the Stuyvesant rail and whatever. I was like, obviously, I'll do it, right? Yeah, sure, I do it. And then you saw what happened, right? And then, but
Was that
those
just you
were
busting it out for MTV, like the Stuyvesant?
I never did. Listen, I never did. Let's just be straight up. The only one I ever saw do that handrail was probably John Ortiz. Mm-hmm. With a slow ass oxygen skates, which that fucking guy used to just go over and just like slow motion, like. Meanwhile, I would just go and like fly off, Uh-huh. And I think maybe Calvin Sales did it too. But dude, I was so like. After that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back and do it. Psych, never did. But that's how that ended up happening. It wasn't like. I didn't know anybody like that back then either. It was just luck. It was just luck and being in the middle and lucky, and it's just being lucky. That was to be honest with you, that was it.
Yeah, I remember in one of the earlier New York videos, I saw, it might have been Mad Beef, it might have been No Limits, but one of the introductions to the section is you at Union Square, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's a sellout. He's a sellout." Right? Because like, especially when you're like from New York back in the day, you had to be like, it was like, that was like right around like the Tupac, Biggie, East Coast, West Coast thing. Like being on your side was like really relevant. And I
carry that really hard.
Yeah. Where did that come from?
I think it came from the fact that, I was, the whole connection with Evan Stone, Brian Smith was off, moved to California. He goes, yo, wherever I'm going to go, I'm going to take you. And we came out here and we just skated together. But this was the Mecca, right? This is where like Arlo was. This is where everybody was. And this is where you wanted to go to Spawn Ranch and whatever. So we got to do that. And we got into some videos and we got into a few things. And then you go back home to New York and people see that you're in these videos, but now you obviously they see you on the West Coast. So this I call Rawlinson a sellout. But listen, I was called a sellout for a long time. And I don't even know if that ever even stopped, to be honest with you. But anyone that I don't know if anyone else got called that, but from New York. But it was, to me, it was, if you wanted to skate, if you wanted to make it, if you wanted to do what you wanted to do with skating, you had to come to California. And everybody that's come to California that was skating experienced that, because this is where it was. This is where everything. This is where you got to say that the skate industry was run from one house. And that was called Spawn Ranch. If those dudes in there did not like you, if Arlo, Mark Heineken, Brooke, Michael Palak, Aaron Spawn, Beloved, right? If they didn't bless you, you weren't going nowhere. That's just
Damn.
how it was.
You never lived in Spawn Ranch, though, did you? You just visited?
I stay there, because we
Yeah.
start. Once I got into the point where like I was of use, right? That I could skate vert ramp and I could do a few things here and there. Then Aaron would let us, because then Aaron would have us, would use us for shows and things and out of the country and places in California, everywhere. But I got to be, I got to experience and be there at Spawn Ranch. It was great. That's where Michael Palak lived. That's where Arlo lived. That was the skater house, right? That's where the one we seen in vertical axis. That's where Chris Edwards pulled his amazing 720 McTwist. I still today, every time I see him, I tell him that's the best trick for me that he's ever done, and I love it. And I will never stop loving that trick because no one could ever do a judo McTwist like that guy did back then.
Yeah, I was just talking about that with Cesar Mora too the other day about like his McTwist, like to get that stale, like upside down kind of feeling. Like no one did them like that.
Yeah.
But the Spawn Ranch is like the extreme opposite of what New York City skating was at that time, especially. Can you like paint the picture for those early years of New York City skating for people? Because it seemed like a really unique time in skating, especially for, New York City.
Yeah. So look, when I started skating, the whole Mad Beef happened, and I think I don't remember the order, but I think it was Mad Beef, Fast Shoes, and then I think Brian created a video called Suitable Materials and put me in the cover, and I would come back to New York, and obviously, the thing is that when things were done out here, I would go back home because I didn't really live out here. I was sort of bi-coastal, but not in my own place, my own, I just lived with Arlo and Mike or, couches like we all did. But I would come home and try and skate. But everywhere I went, there was a following. I'm like, oh shit! Now people start following you, and I was, thank God I wasn't like a total dick, and try to be me like I was back then to everybody. And kids would come, and I was, hey, let's skate. Let's just kind of session the rail at Central Park, which is a step handrail that was down, and the curb rail that Brian fell into he threw himself into the water. Let's just be honest about that.
We got to talk about that too.
It looked like you did.
And everywhere I would go, there would be people, and more skaters would come, and people would hear like a Rawlinson's Heroes was 8. I would just have a whole crew of people, and will come, and that's how I met Gil, and kind of sort of things just kind of went along that way. And it was very it was very unique because back then it was all about skating. People sketched everywhere. The banks and sketching stairs and those kinds of things. There were no real like contests or anything like that at the very beginning. But here in California, it was very different because here it was like all skate parks. The crew went to skate at night. Night sessions. We went to UCLA, to the different colleges here, and kind of get kicked out or scout a rail or try to do something where the guys would kind of just go and kill it, right? But it was very different. It was very, very different. In New York, we skated when it was even snowing, right? I think one of those videos with like a snowstorm in the city, and I'm like, here I am with my skates on. Obviously, you land and fall, slip, and obviously you fall, but we were still doing it. So it was very, very unique in both places, and it was a very good time to be part of that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it seemed like a really good time. Especially like as a young kid looking back, it looked like just very organic, very, very cool, very true, very fun. I want to get into that a little bit more, and we have this like timeline, but I do want to touch before we go too far down the timeline on the baseball thing, because sometimes when you come up skating in New York, you look up to people and you hear stories, you don't know what's true, what's not, and when we heard as a kid from our friends that like, you were like on your way to like, be trying to be a Major League Baseball player. And like, it was the thing that maybe like a crossroad where it was like skating or that. And I know that you come from like, I think you said your dad made you run 5 miles, but what I heard as well is that your dad really was pushing you to be a pro ball player and all these other things. So I'm curious to know like the backstory and like the truth behind all that.
Let me give you that real quick. So obviously, if you don't know that, I'm Dominican. We're born with a baseball bat in our hands, right? Our way out is baseball, right? So every Dominican kid, our crew, our boys, is to always play baseball, right? And I played baseball my entire life, and I got to play like semi-pro baseball, and I was signed in the time in I think like '94 when we had the MLB strike. I was in a really good spot to kind of get called and kind of get through that, right? but and unfortunately, it wasn't in. I like baseball. I love playing baseball, but it wasn't in my heart. I always said that whatever I'm going to do in life, I'm going to do it either with my head or skating, because skating became my passion, my love, right?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I can tell you that when I quit, so when I went to the when we did the first X Games, Stuart Scott all over me about. I love Stuart Scott. He was a man, obviously, rest in peace. And all the folks when we were there, and even Mark Chase about the whole baseball thing. I'm like, okay, let's get over that, because back then they try to compare us to like whether we're real athletes or not, right?
Mhm.
And we try to, we just athletes like everybody else. Obviously, it's been proven. We do, we just didn't do the Matt Salerno thing and like train. You know what I mean? We
Mhm.
train in different ways.
Mhm.
But when I sort of like turned my back on baseball, there was an article that came out in the New York Times that talked about that. And I went against my father for that, which I till the day he died, he was like, go back and play baseball, don't do this. But I did hear from other people that he used to watch me on TV when I would come on MTV or ESPN. He was like, "Oh, that's him right there." So I was like, so at least there was some pride that he took in that, because I never went back. In the time when I did try to go back, just because I felt bad, whatever, I dislocated my shoulder, my right shoulder, and I was a pitcher, to the
Mhm.
point that I screwed it up. I dislocated my shoulder in Australia in a contest, trying to jump on some box like over the height of my head. So I didn't jump high enough and just kind of threw it back. And my arm was never the same. I could never throw a ball again, and I still can. And still to this day I have to like hold here, because I just couldn't do that. So that was that, right? So for me, it was that. You could expect every Dominican kid. Mostly, like it's almost a generalization, but it is true. That's what we do. That's what we do that pretty well. And I'm a decent baseball player, but that's what it came to. Skating,
Mm.
skating,
Wow.
skating was my thing.
Yeah, it's interesting to like think of, like you said, like especially back then, or maybe even to this day, people are like, oh, are these people athletes? Like, what is the distinction between them and like major league athletes? But to hear like about your backstory with baseball, and then Mike Budnick even went on to go and do some professional fighting, and
Yeah,
his first 8 fights he won by knockout. He was like 8-0 his first 8 fights, and this is like
yeah,
after a blading career. So it's like
yeah.
cool. It's cool to hear those things like that, because the crossovers that may exist.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
remember. Yeah.
there's been a lot of, there's probably so many success stories that we haven't heard of, we don't even know about,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, because there was a lot of skaters. Dude, there's a lot of folks that have done well and kind of moved on to even different sports and different professions and all of that. But it's just the thing is that, to be honest, we live in what I call when we get together, me, Arlo, and the crew. It's like we call it a golden era. That was an era where
Yeah.
everything that mattered was that, and there was I couldn't. I remember saying this to myself. I cannot see another day in my life without skating.
Hmm.
That's how much it was for me.
I can totally relate to that. I always just, yeah, especially like many times through my life you have ups and downs with it, but I definitely remember like being like, yeah, this is it. This is everything. Skating is everything. So, and that's that could be good for a while, but it's good to have balance too. So, yeah, skating is
I learned that later. I learned that years later. I mean, I can tell you that I was very lucky because, listen, we all know that I wasn't very well liked. I wasn't the coolest kid on the block.
hmm,
I had to run with the whole New York sellout thing in New York and all that. But I had some friends, and I made friends out here. And listen, when I came out here, Arlo, none of the crew wanted to like, oh, he is so, and it was just us being New Yorkers and trying to be and make, what we do, whatever, right?
hmm,
And it took some growth and some time to sort of calm down and sort of level out. And then once that happened, the doors open. Like I think Brian Smith back then was running basically from New York. He was running Hyper,
hmm,
and he and I became the Hyper Boys, and we had Brian Bell, and then they wanted to do something else, so we did Pleasure Tools, and Brian went that way, and then Senate came up and started making fun of us.
hmm.
But that was just not fun. It was just what it was. We mocked it and we dealt with all that. But it was just, it was just a great time. But then once you're here, and then like people get to know you for real, and um, things opened up, dude. It's like right place, right time. There's some. I wasn't the best skater either. I never won fucking contests. I mean, a few of them, whatever, right? But I tell you what, I got paid more than most skaters.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
Well,
true.
Like ridiculously more, right? Like you have to be on Senate at like Brook level, Arlo level, owner level to get more than me. And that's what
no,
at one point was about, right? Because I was like, look, this is my life. I need to do this. I went to every contest. There was no such thing as a budget for me, right? We can only send you to two I went to every IS, every NIS, every ASA. It didn't matter where it was. It fucking was in Japan, whatever. I went to all of them, right? Um, and because I went after. That's what kind of gave me that. I stayed, in one place, but it was luck and having some people like tell you to cool the fuck down, and kind of tell you that you're a nerd, and like come down, right? And then you listen, and you grow up a little bit, and things just kind of take their course.
yeah. I think that talking to your other point before of you not being well liked, and then but you were also like the most paid, and you did all this traveling. You didn't have a budget with the. I think I don't necessarily think it's that you weren't well liked, but I think that you were a controversial figure during that time, and
I was
because
a
you were
dick,
very
dude. I was
well,
a dick.
you no, well, but these were the things that like
Mhm.
skating, especially at that time and still to this day, and like all blossoming subcultures need like these like
Mhm.
really strong personalities in order to be able to have something of entertainment value, to be perfectly honest, and like have someone to connect to, have like something to watch, like the beefs with you and Sam Fogarty during Hoax 5, which is hilarious. We could talk about in a
Oh,
bit.
Sam.
We could talk. No, no,
Listen,
but
that was orchestrated. I want you
yeah.
to know
Well,
that when we make
No, but see, but
videos
that's the
like
point.
that,
Okay, okay. So, but that's another thing. So, like, these are the things that we know are entertaining, right?
mhm.
And
correct,
so I
correct.
think that that's partially like one of the reasons, along with like the multi-talented like things you were bringing to skating, the personality, and like the leadership of that is all something that's tied in there.
Mhm.
So I think that's that. Yeah, I
I
can see
mean,
how at times it must be like a pain to like
it's
kind
skating.
of do that, but it's important.
How do we, how do we differentiate ourselves from the next skater, right? And when we were from the same town doing this, we do the same tricks, we do the same stuff, we look the same, we dress the same, whatever, right? So you had to become someone, right? So you had to have like an alter ego in a person. Which for me, if you read that Skater magazine, I had to do part of that interview as my alter ego, Mustachioed Son,
Mhm.
which was created by Arlo because I had a mustache when I came to California, right? So there was that thing you had to make up, but you'll always have your crew. Like for example, like in New York, you know, once I started hanging out with like and skating with the Dislas, and I hope everyone remember the Disla brothers. We were, oh my god, it was insane, man. It was awesome, But it was like they knew who you were, they knew who and no one. I never try to be this sort of like fucking more bigger than I was never that, and it was cool because things happen, and it's not a way to be, but I'm glad because a lot of people were uncool and pulled a pool card. I'm sorry, the cool card on other kids. Some of the other kids that today, one specifically that I remember, that I know, and I was like, oh, that's not cool. It's fucking
Let's
Tyler
hear it.
Shields. Tyler Shields,
Really?
dude. Did you
What
understand
happened?
that Tyler Shields looked like a baby when he was skating?
Yeah.
And he was like, and people, oh, Tyler, he's such a nerdy. And Tyler just wanted to talk and hang out with you, and show you how he skated vert, and he will share. This kid was just awesome. But I saw people finding him annoying. Oh, he's so whatever. And then the whole thing about like when he skated for Racers, and put it this way, Tyler was looked down upon for a long time, And then out of nowhere, I hear like Tyler is directing a fucking Wu-Tang Clan video. I'm like, excuse me, what? Right? And then, dude, I remember this because I remember being with Tyler on top of the ramp in Miami, at a NIS event, and everywhere, Virginia, And Tyler was always like a cool kid, trying. But he was never in that sort of like that clique, you know, that what's so-called a cool crowd, right?
He was
But
like a silent killer.
this dude today shits on everybody,
Yeah.
right? Talented. Like, and I see him a lot, you know, and he come, bro, and it's good to see that because, you know, I don't think Tyler would do that to the people that were kind of, you know, ignorant and kind of treat him a different way when, you know, when he wasn't the success that he is today. Which is this is a testament to people's behavior, right? You can't really, sometimes your fame lasts 15 minutes or 15 seconds and then you have to live life. And I'm glad, you know, he's a great example of those things. And another one too, to be honest, Brian Smith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, people used to pick on Brian Smith, number one, because he was fucking good looking. Number two, because he had all the girls. Do not bring your girlfriend around Brian Smith back then. It's a wrap, right? He was fucking super buff, athletic, you know. And then they started doing shit like because, you know, Brian was a model in New York. And then there was a picture of Brian in a gay magazine, like in his underwear. The guy, Calvin Klein, some shit, right? So the haters start going, oh, Brian with Smith, this and that. And I remember people, you know, trying to distance themselves from Brian Smith, right? Who is Brian Smith today, right? Another beast. And I remember just punching people in the face in New York and everywhere for talking shit about Brian Smith. Just out of nowhere, boom. Like, shut up. You don't know anything. But it goes to show, right? Like, those are the things that, you know, back then happened. And you know, the whole being cool and whatnot and all those things, you know, it passes. It's just life.
Yeah, talk about post-skating careers. You just named like two of the biggest ones with Brian Smith and Tyler Shields. Like Tyler Shields was definitely more like a silent killer, I guess, because you're right. Like we never really seen, he wasn't in the quote limelight like you guys were, you know. And that I was
Tyler
thinking
was
about.
Good, dude. Tyler was good too.
He was
very good.
Yeah,
he was very good.
But like
he was silent, you know. Like,
yeah, it's the personality, and that was the thing in the '90s too, because there was you, Arlo, Brian Smith, like Brooke Howard Smith, like huge personalities, very outgoing people. I don't know whether some of it was scripted on tours, and I will get into that later. But like, and then you look at generations later on. Like I'm thinking in my head now, I'm not comparing better or worse in any way, but like Brian Shima, Chris Haffey, Dustin Latimer, like these are more quiet guys, and they were like
they're assassins, though. Those guys are fucking assassins. So let me tell you the difference, right? Shima is a beast, okay? Because I partied with that guy too back in the day. So he comes in as everybody else. We obviously were a little older, and you know, once we get into our little thing, you know, it's fun. And he gets in his groove and does, and everyone, just like everybody else, gets in his thing. But Shima, the difference with these guys, that era, that clique that you mentioned now, these guys were real assassins when it came to skating. The fucking 540 to top sole this and all that shit that they were doing, they were the only ones doing it, right? It hurt a lot for me to try to do like a 360 sole grab, and anybody else that was like, you know, in our realm. So their approach was very different, but it was also well accepted because, you know, you got to fear the people that are quiet the most. The ones that are the quiet are the ones that do the most damage. The ones that are always loud and doing what I was doing it's just exactly that, right? You know, Brasco, you know, like Shima, and what they were doing, people were like, what in the world, right? It was just out of this world. So they made their impact that way, which is, to be honest with you, it was fun for them. That's how they are. That's their personality. It was great. It worked for everybody. They were well loved and liked by everybody. Just like at one point we were, you know, Maddie too. Matt, you know, I recently found out about Matt, and Maddie and I were tight too. He used to call me Rawson all the time. It was hilarious. But it's you know, like different impacts. But it was you know, we kept evolving. Things evolved, you know, and once the characters from skating, which was, you know, that sort of first and second generation, where the Brooks, Howard Smith would, you know, like you saw how like for people like Mark Heineken were like, you know, his time was past, right? He was one of the first ones, right? Chris Mitchell, and then like, but then like Arlo remained, Brooke remained, and Michael Palak remained, and, you know, Beloved remained, and Brian Smith, and then that. But once those guys kind of sort of started kind of falling back, and the things started going, you know, the different way, because we had Aaron Feinberg cursing out the cameraman on ESPN, and obviously, you know, punking them, and that was not cool. Which is, some of the reasons that you see how we had issues with ESPN and staying on TV for a lot of those punky things that we used to do. But evolution, right? Just some of the things that happen.
Different times, man. Different
Wow.
times. Talking about Chris not cameraman on ESPN and shit.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, speaking of that a little bit, I know we have so much to talk about, and we're trying to stay on this like timeline because we started jumping around.
I don't have a timeline. I don't have a. Oh
no, I mean like a timeline throughout your career and
Sure.
everything. But like that reminds me of the intro to Stand Fast when you were like, it starts off with like you hate. I guess people were hating on you on like contests and stuff like that, and you would just call them out of some. I don't know if that was like an award ceremony or something like that. Like what was that about?
Oh yeah. So
Yes. Story time. Let's go.
So let me recall that. And this is behind the mastermind of all this, which is fucking Arlo, right?
Okay.
So by this time, I had already got the blessing, right? I was in California. I lived bi-coastal officially. I live in California. I was here, and I was okay. I mean, I was cool. So I was asked to no, wait. This is when I thank nobody. You said,
yeah. You were like, shout out to the judges for
Check this out. This is messed up, but this is how great it was. So the ASA got really weird in terms of rules for wearing pads and helmets. I became the most disqualified skater in a season for just simply stepping on the course. And I would have my helmet on my arm or whatever. It became a joke. It would like disqualify. I'm like, what? If you get disqualified at this point, now we're at the point where we're making a lot of money. I want this money for my sponsors because their brands are on ESPN, and that becomes a bit of a business thing, right? I got disqualified a lot. I still made more than the guy who won the contest. It doesn't matter. Just for being again disqualified. It's just like deep, right? So Arlo and all those the guys thought it was funny or whatever, right? It was like messed up, but we were just skating, concentrating on their runs and all that stuff, which is great. I would just take my side and enjoy and just skate the course, be an idiot, be a dick, and do my thing. So these people, Mark Chase and them, decide to give me a freaking award, embarrass me in front of everybody.
What award ceremony was this? Like what was
this?
That?
Was an ASA award show.
Okay, I didn't even know that existed in the first place. But okay.
Oh, dude, yeah. Oh, listen. Oh, yeah. We had an award show. We had two of them. One of them, which I was the host, actually. They had me. I was the host, and that story is amazing. So they gave me an award, right? And I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like, okay. So I walk up to the stage, to the stand, and whatnot. Just like, I want to thank. And I don't remember, but I want to thank none of you for being haters. And have me qualified, and people just went off, right? Like, because I'm like, you all have me disqualified for this, and then we're like, whatever, some shit. I dropped the mic, then I left. And then Arlo took it upon himself to do that. And listen, back then to do something like when Senate endorsed you, and you don't even skate for Senate, if they put you in one of their videos, you're like golden, because Senate was the epitome of cool, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you're like, you've been you got winged up, right? And if you remember how powerful they were and how that was, Senate put out a double page ad in Daily Bread with Brian Bell wearing plush tools that said Brian Bell is good enough to skate for Senate, but he doesn't. So something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Promoting, right? But that was a Senate ad.
That was the power of Senate back then.
That was exactly. So Arlo, obviously being, how he is controversial and all that, listen, I was so happy when I saw that. I was like, oh my God. Because to be honest, I felt pretty cool because I called out names. I said, you, Nick Harmon, a judge, Ezekiel Anderson. I was going after Ezekiel too. Like I called them out. All you haters that pushed me. But it was a moment, and it felt really great. It felt really good, to be honest. It felt really good.
You got to vent a little bit on there.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then the year after that, I think it was, I tried really hard to make the finals for the ASA Pro Tour. And the only reason why I made it is because I could go to every contest. Well, nobody else could. right? I went to all the stops in Europe. I went to all the stops in the States. So points wise, I was able to qualify because I was never a good contest skater, right? I was decent at best. And then in Europe, I I tore I fell on my knee and I tore my. You guys probably hear one of my twins just wilding out right now. I tore my not my whatever in the knee. My fuck. I tore my whatever. I messed up my knee, right? So
ACL, MCL, meniscus, one of
yeah, my
those.
PCL, my PCL, thank you.
PCL. Okay.
PCL.
Right?
Never heard of that.
So I couldn't skate. So then for the finals, even though I'm there, I'm like, oh, I made the finals, but I can't skate. But I'm the host of the award show. And we were going to honor Arlo that night. His mom is there. It was supposed to be a huge thing, right? But then, oh God, this is so long. Petty, Sagona, everyone just being an idiot in the worst time possible because we were about to honor Arlo to give him an achievement award. But it was one of those things where I changed clothes every time I went outside, right? So I try to use it like a whole. And I played it out that way. I walked on stage late, at least 20 minutes late on purpose, while this was being televised, about to be televised,
Jeez.
or recorded for television. I walked on stage with two girls, like come here, like I'm the man, right? And started just being whatever. And I wasn't too like. I know I wasn't disrespectful. I wasn't too like off, but the guys just kind of took it to where sometimes I wish it wouldn't have taken that with Petty, and some of the guys. But we were all young and whatever, but it was fun, and that was yet again another opportunity that was awarded to me by just being in the right place at the right time. It wasn't really like I wanted to do that. Come on, I barely spoke English back in the day. I had to think in Spanish in my head while I'm like announcing on on Foxnet. Like, what the heck? I remember telling myself, "What the fuck am I saying right now?"
That's crazy. So I guess I didn't know you were born in DR. You were born in DR?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, born in
Okay.
DR.
So you were born in DR, moved to New York,
Yeah.
and your first language is Spanish, and then you go on to be a host, a commentator for ASA and all these other competitions. And from your personality, I didn't know. That's crazy to know that you're thinking in Spanish, speaking in English, and kind of translating in that way. So I'm curious to know, like, I mean, it seems obvious how you get to these points, but I'm curious to know, like, the ASA story. But you say that there's a funny story about you hosting too. Maybe we should get to that first.
So how did I end up being a host on what gave me the opportunity, which was NIS, right? I don't know if you guys remember, but Red Bull was illegal in the U.S. and Red Bull was being launched in Europe, and we were specifically doing the IS in Amsterdam,
Wait, Red Bull was illegal in New York?
in the States. At
I mean,
one point.
in the
caffeine
States?
level was
I never knew that.
oh, dude, the caffeine level, it's not even the same. Still today, right? So we went to Amsterdam. We went to Amsterdam when everyone wants to just smoke weed and stuff. Mind you, that I was like a straight edge. I never did shit, right? I was just because I was just sports guy, whatever. And I never judged anybody, nothing. So I don't remember what happened. So Brian was there. I think AJ got sick or something. Someone didn't show up in the morning, and Craig and Evan were like they were running their show and they're filming the contest. So they wanted to. So these guys are, the guys are fucking skating at like 3 a.m, drinking Red Bull nonstop. Like, I'm thirsty, but there's a Red Bull thing and not knowing what in the shit is in there, right? And we're like, why is it that we're like falling from like 20 feet in the air, bouncing right back and going right back into the ramp? It is 3 o'clock in the morning. The contest is tomorrow 8 o'clock. What in the world, right? So some people didn't make it, and one of the co-hosts didn't make it. So they asked me to, hey, Rawlinson, can you go ask whoever who just fell and was bleeding some questions? And I just, obviously, I'm one of the boys. So I'm like, grab the mic. So tell me how you feel right now. You just hit the pavement real hard. You're bleeding. Tell me. Right. And I'm like, mic'd up, like, come on, you're bleeding. So they like that. Right. And after that, I think when they edited the show, someone at Fox said, get that guy, get the whatever. And Evan said, okay. Then Brian, who was the pretty boy Floyd there, was running that approved, and then that worked. And then after Brian, it was Arlo, and Arlo said, yeah, bring Rawlinson back and let's just keep having fun. And it was hilarious. But that's how those things happen. There were no auditions. There were no it was just go.
That should happen
That's
just
cool.
organically like that.
Yeah, yeah. And we were just being ourselves, like, but then I find myself like wearing a t-shirt that says Fox Sports Net. I'm on TV. I'm like, I'm on TV as a host, and I'm thinking in Spanish in my head, which is something that Brandon Crystal, which is like Arlo's cousin, always tells me, "Do you still think in Spanish when you in your head?" I'm like, "Oh God, Brandon," because I used to tell him, he clown me for that all the time. But that's the reality, how that goes.
Did you ever spit some Spanish by accident on the air?
No, never.
That would have been a funny story.
Dude, listen, if anyone would say that I was a sellout, I did sell out to my own heritage. Like I tried so hard to learn how to speak proper English that it got to the point where I forgot Spanish. I forgot words in Spanish. I couldn't tell you what a word in English was translated in Spanish. And it was until I started hanging out with the Distless again, and they will be like, "Yo, you playing yourself." And we started kind of doing that I started like, oh, the whole Dominican thing started coming back. And then, because I never spoke Spanish to anybody, to my mom or mainly to my mom, because all, my friends are out here. No one spoke Spanish, right? So it was, but then I got it back. And it was good. It's good.
That's cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to learn all this. Let's talk real quick about Hoax 5. Hoax 5 was, Hoax 2 was a super impactful Hoax video.
Mm-hmm.
Hoax 5, I think, was the same thing.
Keep talking. I'm going to show you.
Okay. And in 1998, Hoax 5 came out, and it was a big one for us because one, it had one of our guys, a Staten Island guy in there, Angel Soto, in the New York section.
I remember Angel Soto. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so you and all these guys, Josh Clark, Sam Fogarty, John Bergeron, Salima Sanga, all these people. Yep. So the hell of a crew, but basically. Yeah, but you were such like a huge personality on that. Like you had the introductory clip where I forgot who was you were telling. I think it might have been Josh Clark, but take your socks every day.
Yeah.
Throw them out. That's it. Don't keep them in the van. Take your socks. Next day, new pair of socks. But you and Sam Fogarty getting into things and all the antics and and that just seemed like a really fun trip. So could you share maybe some experiences from that trip?
So
yeah, what do you got for us over there?
I'm going to show you some real history. So what made the Hoax 1, aside from being like cinematically awesome because it was film, it was like actual film, and Evan did it the way he did it, right, and all those things that he did. It was the fact that there was interaction. What you saw, like Hoax 1 and 2, there was like all this B-roll that was happening between Arlo and Mike and Brooke and Brian Smith. Those were other things that became fun to watch. And like, oh shit, these guys are all together for this much time. Let's see what happens. But you got to have that. You got to have the ability to annoy people when in reality we don't really get like that. We don't really get to the point where I was kind of recording some of the videos after things have been escalated pretty high. So because I was like the sort of general on the Hoax tour, since I've been on them since the Hoax 2 went on, right? So it was, Brian couldn't do it anymore. Brooke wasn't around anymore. Arlo obviously was busy with other stuff. So I was like the only one out of the old crew that was going to be part of it because, number one, the people that funded those videos were my main sponsors, Hyper and Roses, right? So I have to have like they need their guy there. But I was also there to kind of make sure that there was trouble, like cause shit happen.
Nice.
But also the fact that, we were stinky dudes. You fucking skate and you're going to bring your sweaty ass skates into the fucking RV, which you're going to travel across the country with. That's not going to smell really good. Mind you, that Selima was there. There were women there. There were girls that would travel with us, right? That was not cool. So I kind of had to lay down the rules. I said, listen, we stop at every city that we go to. We buy new socks, new underwear, and new T-shirts. We throw them out. And then when Josh comes along, I'm like, you're already going the wrong way. No, you got to put the stuff down here. You got to go over there. If not, we're going to have a problem, right? So I kind of laid down the law and the rules. But it was also like, that was kind of like Rawlinson, kind of, read on the riot act and kind of go that way. But yeah, I was, I had to, and it wasn't just me. Some of the other guys would do that too. And when they find an opportunity, they would embrace it. For example, like Jonathan Bergeron punked some skateboarders in Miami. They were trying to be all cool, like, oh yeah, you think rollerbladers can't do skateboarding? Jonathan Bergeron came in, ollie some fucking gap Like they could not even like what? And then he was like, yeah, why don't you go and try it on skates? The dude like, you know, hurt himself, and we were like, and then we filmed that. That was like that part. So it was, you know, everyone did those sort of things. So for me, it was just more like, I don't know, punking, you know, whatever funny things, but they were not really serious. And also the one with Sam Fogarty, metal or like Sam, what is it? Because the thing with Sam is that Sam
he was talking about your chain.
Yeah. Listen,
Gold
back then,
chain.
remember, gold was like whatever. And if you remember, I had a gold necklace with a double R made all diamond. I'm like, whatever, right? And Sam wants to come in with this like silver. I'm like, dude, what is that metal? Not interested in like metal. I try to just mess with him, right? Because Sam also was like, oh, I get all the girls, and I'm like, no, dude, you don't. Stop with you don't have sexy accent, cutty that. I said something like that, whatever. I remember say to him, and I was just to get to get in his nerves, but those were funny. I mean, those were just funny moments and funny things. But those it was just that there was never real beef. No one ever really fought on the bus, on the tour bus, anywhere. No one ever really had that. If you messed with any one of those guys at any point in time, God damn it, it's over. Especially if Jonathan Bergeron is there, and there's something that happened that nobody really knows about because of fucking Aaron Feinberg, right? And it happened out of the country, and I was in some serious trouble because me as the older guy there, as the older sort of guy, but presence from the crew, became to the point where I would protect and deal with Corey Nelson and like Corey, you know, I got to get him out of jail or like or like Aaron do this and that, and there was this mishap thing that happened in Rome where Aaron started some nonsense at a bar, and we went outside, and I'm like, and I see Jonathan Bergeron going after this one dude, a grown ass man, like a dude, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like running, like no. And all I see is Jonathan Bergeron going like, dude hits the floor. He never got up. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to jail. And I put everyone in a taxi. Go. And I'm trying to wake the dude up. And I'm like, go. Everyone gets to leave. No more fucking taxis for me. I'm stuck there. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go to jail in a foreign country. Dude, that night, I walked away. I was feeling bad for the dude. I was don't do it, but what am I going to do? He was already knocked out. Yeah. So then I went to another street, spoke a little Italian, got a car, went to my hotel, packed my shit, and left. In the morning the next day, I think it was Selima who said, hey, they came to the hotel asking for you by name. I'm like, there was 1 million people there, and you're going to come and say and ask for Rawlinson Rivera? You got to be kidding. Yo, I never went back to Rome for like a decade. I never went to Italy and landed in Rome airport because of that.
Dang. The cops came looking for you straight up.
To the hotel.
Yeah. Wow. Oh shit, that's fucking scary.
I mean,
you're like, peace. Were you supposed to
listen, but I left that morning. I was told that, but I grabbed my shit and I left. I was like, well, I'm not staying here for this.
You just booked your own ticket? Like you bounced on whatever tour or whatever the fuck it was?
I could do that. My tour, my Rose's person, like, I got to go now. Where? But that way. Like, whatever. And it was, it was that way. But, that's how some of these things. But in the hoax stories, a lot of B-roll. And if you look at what we did early in those days, there's a lot of similarity to things like Road Rules. And some of those other shows that have come up. Dude, Evan Stone was behind that. The Hoax, because we worked and we did stuff with MTV. Remember the MTV festival and all those things? A lot of the stuff that we did as skaters bled into that and led to those things. And we had mutual friends that were in some of those, they took part in some of those MTV shows that were they basically, it was our influence that created some of these things. Very, very firm believer in it.
That's cool. That must have been so cool to go to those like MTV festivals back in the day, like especially being such a big part of it, like backstage with like all these like bands and musical acts, and it was like right up there in the mix with everything, right?
Well, to be honest, this fucking guy Brian Smith has the unique ability to befriend anybody, like bro them down, like because he's that guy will give you the shirt of his back any day, like. It's a dick too, but whatever. Um, with him, Brian moved here and he started doing all these things. And Brian was, I think he started acting, modeling. He starts meeting people, and that we're in the same clique. Dude, I've met everybody. I come to the house and there's Shaq sitting on the steps.
Stop
talking.
it.
What?
I swear to God, Shaq just sitting with Brian talking. And here's 311 and Brian and I in a 311, videos with Nick Hexum in them. And then there's Madonna. There's Lenny Kravitz. There's all Brian Smith, all that stuff. And I got to meet a lot of people like movie stars, rock stars, Miley Cyrus, and you name them, like everything, all through Brian Smith. So when you get to the point you get to like MTV and all this stuff, it's like, I've already said, hey, Rawlinson, Med. You remember Med?
Yeah.
Med is a legend, dude. Med came out here, owns a business, very successful business. Med does his movies. His friends are like these A-list celebrities, dude. Like, I go to Med's place and I run into like all these people. We played in a baseball team here together. When my catcher was what's the guy from that Office show? John Hamm. And I didn't know who they were, dude. It's John Hamm, like Casey Affleck, and all these. And these are our teammates, right? And that's what life became here.
You're on a baseball team with John Hamm?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. John Hamm was the catcher, dude, and Casey Affleck and some other. There was a bunch of us, and Med, So I got to meet a lot of those folks like that through friendships of like Med, Brian, and then on my own once I was whatever. But those are just lucky, being able to be the right place at the right time, all that.
Yeah, but going back to this hoax business, so you're saying it was Evan who pretty much not made everybody, but like suggested everybody get into these antics and everything. You're saying?
Yeah. Evan made a connection, and because we wanted it to be fun and entertaining more than just and there was some of the things we would do were fun. Some of the things that Brian would do were hilarious, right? So people got to enjoy all the funny things that were a part of the video, and it just makes it more enjoyable. And they weren't always like I wouldn't say they were orchestrated, but like you could tell that. Let me just mess with this dude, and the camera was always rolling. So.
Yeah, all that shit was genius because in a video specifically, like the Hoax 5 specifically, some of the lines that were spoken are more memorable than some of the tricks in the video, which is crazy to think about now. Like people decades later are still reciting. Like I'm sure you saw the post where we made of you for Jump Street. Like people were just quoting you in the comments 20 something years later, like. Not like, yo, that was a sick backslide you did. Like they were just saying like your quotes from the video.
It was a course that I used to say.
Yeah, I know.
That's hilarious.
That's sick. Like that skaters have that type of legacy to live on like that, besides just their skating.
Which is listen, to be honest with you, it's awesome. I did say a lot of dumb. I did say a lot of stuff that matched my that era, my age, and what I was being, right? Like for example, the one that I enjoyed, you can only skate as good as you look. Oh my God!
That's one of your most famous ones too. That's like
right?
everywhere.
But you know why? You know where that came from? Number one, I got sponsored by The Gap, and I got sponsored by all this, whatever. Levi, we had all this stuff. I never wore the same pair of jeans twice for skating. If I fell and my pants ripped, I took them off and threw them out. So I always wanted to wear white t-shirts. Then Arlo starts bringing in like small logo, small branded, shirts. So now that the sponsors want to put really big H's and R's and things in the back and the front, I'm like, nah, I don't look good doing that, right? So then I'm like, I'm going to look like I mean business, right? And I started wearing, I didn't wear like jeggings or leggings to the point where it got, but I kind of thinned them out a little bit, right? And it was based on that. And I felt really good, so I didn't want to fall. So I was like, you will sustain your skating capability based on that. And it was a funny quote, and to be honest, I think it should remain true because it's true, Here's one of my boys.
There's
my
cameo.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a cameo. There you go.
Hello.
This is Logan Rain right here. It's one of my oldest. Right. This is my oldest.
Nice.
Here come the twins.
Now it's the whole
As a matter
party.
of time.
It's the whole party.
Right. This is Rowan. Right. Look at this guy.
Hey, Rowan.
Right.
They had to say hi.
Well, yeah. It's, he's like, So, and they're Sagan. They're identical twins. So,
Wow.
sometimes I can't even tell who they are. Look at the see you.
Hey.
Hello. Hi.
They made it to Jump Street Podcast.
Okay, go back with Monty now and close the door. Close the door. So listen, some of those quotes are great, and
I can't get enough of the camera. They're just like Daddy.
oh my God, hey, if you do it to one, I got to do it. Hey, okay, that was the last one. Okay, what? Damn, wait a minute, there you go. Okay, so yeah, and it's cool. I mean, people remember some of those. Hi, buddy.
Hi.
Go to mom. Go to mom. I mean, and it's cool, because I mean, there's some. At least there's some cool things that they remember, which is great. It's great.
Yeah, that line specifically still rings true today. And even last episode we had with Dominic Sagona, he mentioned the same thing too, like about how style was so important to his skating, and pretty much said along the same lines, like you feel good when you skate, when you dress a certain way, when like your style is on point, like your skating speaks. Yeah, you feel it. Exactly.
You feel good about yourself. You feel like you own it. You're like in a state of flow. Say like you think you're the shit. You are the shit in that moment. And you're going to remain that. It's all a feeling. It's all a feeling. So and let me tell you, one to comment on that, right? Is Dominic, because that fucking guy. Woo! Talk about wearing t-shirts on your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I can tell you that.
He had us wearing t-shirts on our damn heads.
No, it's cool. I know we're kind of like going back and forth between like the timeline, but I want to go back a little bit for a second because after this on our Patreon, we're gonna go actually watch this battle between you and Calvin Sales that went down to the Brooklyn Banks famously in 1995 for each other's skates. Was that did that form organically? How did that whole thing come to be? And the fact that you guys were doing for each other's skates, that is like such a New York thing that you were like battling, and the person who loses takes the other person's skates. So was that like set up? What was the story behind that?
So it wasn't set up because obviously I wasn't going to lose, right?
Right.
Calvin won that fair and square. But but Evan said, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool like such a New York thing where like you guys battle for skates, And I'm like, why the fuck me? Well, I'm your sponsor. You have the major skate sponsor of the video, and who cares? You have 1 million skates here. What does it matter, right? Calvin obviously, would fall under the less fortunate type of skater. We're like, look at his skates; they're kind of broken, whatever. Sure, so with Calvin, mind you, Calvin is a beast, right? Calvin was a great, good skater, right? Like killing it. I didn't know I was going to lose, right? But it was great for the video. And it was awful for me in a way because, if you look at back then, as proud as I was and whatever, you see me handing over my skates to Calvin. But I think I gave him a pair of like our the Rose's vert skates, I think it was. I didn't give him my Majestic 12s or whatever. But either way, I gave him my skates. He won them. So it wasn't like, it was something that could happen. We made the story and it happened for real. And I lost my skates for real. And Calvin, it's an incredible good skater. Let me tell you something. If I was ever a dick to anybody in skating, if I ever try to pull that dick card and be not a good person, right, was to Calvin. And after sometime happened, because he started skating for meets, and then I started to use, that back then I was like, I'm super popular, whatever whatever I was thinking in my head then, like I can control. And I unfortunately I did have that influence. And I was kind of, may have done some things that weren't so nice. So I apologized to him. I found him and I said, listen, you were great, man. I wish those things would never happen, but forgive me. They were, we're kids and it was what it was. But Calvin was a great skater, man. And he got to be, and he got some good opportunities for being what he was. He got to be, I think, one of these Disney commercials or something like that, which is,
Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes.
Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, he skated with Tony.
Yeah, right. So imagine that. So it was great, but and he listen, Calvin. I think if he skates today, it's still amazing. He does all crazy stuff. He's still amazing.
Yeah,
his feet were fast. Watching that again, his top sole to sole on that little nice there.
Then the oneness that I almost won. I came second to him. I'm like,
yeah.
So he got you more than once. He got you more than once.
Oh, he got me. He got me more than once, more than twice too. I'm sure he did. Yeah.
Damn, that was one of the best, I think, out of all skating history that was documented. I think that was one of the best moments. It was so New York to battle at the Banks. Rawlinson versus Calvin battling for your skates because I don't think anybody else does that anywhere else. And New Yorkers, we're proud people. Like we like to battle and make a point, like, you know, that
and and
we
and, and,
run the
and
shit.
here's the thing too. Like it was me because I was like supposed to be the famous skater from New York, but it was and Calvin just happened to be there. But there was like Angel Soto from New York too.
Mm-hmm.
There were all these other kids from LES. There were so many. They were so good, and we used to like always, all end up at the bank and skate together. But there's so many good skaters too. Joe DiDentro. I mean, come on. It's like it went. I mean, different times and all, but it would go for miles. How many good skaters and all the things that were there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's crazy to see like how much came of that, and I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty almost positive that was the first documented street battle in skating ever had ever happened. So everything else like that was a contest was before that was like
Yeah,
NIS or an ASA or whatever. That was
you're right.
1995,
That's
New
true.
York City in the streets, like the first documented street
So
battle. It was
so
four
cool.
pair of skates, and then from that things IMYTAs came to be,
Listen,
and
I will.
yeah.
I didn't put that together, but now that you put it that way, I will take that.
There
That's
we
quite the
go. There
legacy.
we go.
I contributed to the soul and the core of today's skating, which is you take it to the streets and these contests that happen like the IMYTA, the John, and all these things that are happening. Yeah, you're right. Little did we know that these things would turn out to be that way.
Yeah. And I think New York had like a very especially during that time, like a huge influence on like the attitude of skating, just like the functionality of skating, going spot to spot, battling, talking trash here and there. And just,
You have to
and
listen.
you,
You have to earn your prop skating. If you went into a rail, you
Mhm.
either watched or if you stood or you don't even you move out of the way. I remember, man. I remember like when I first and this was before. I think I must have been, and I don't know, and anyone can go either way. But I backslid the 13 step out the banks before anybody, and that shit looked unreal to me. Then also there was a I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a handrail in 90th Street in Central Park, which had a kink and a curve, right?
Mhm.
At the same time, I backslid that too, which was like, are you kidding me? You're like with one foot, as they call it in Europe, 1 foot, and it was just like happening. So I remember when I did that at the banks, and there were people just watching. That's when the backslides was starting, just kind of starting to take off. And but to do them
super
that long,
progressive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, to do them that long, I was like,
Mhm.
oh wow. And a lot of people just stopped skating, And then they will be like, and if anyone stepped up and went after a trick like that, after me or like Gil or Kendall, one of my friends, or Hyper Mike, whatever, it would be like you're challenging each other. It was that was kind of it's like the New York vibe. That's what it was before. And then even Calvin, because in Calvin, Calvin started owning the streets. To be honest with you, Calvin started doing things on the projects, all these project rails, these lines and things, and Calvin was really good spinning. He could spin off
Yep.
anything, and but that was the thing. And then if someone did a rail longer than me or whoever, that was the bragging right. That was the badge of honor. They would take that, and it would be like, yeah, that's how it is.
Hmm. No, yeah, it was definitely very competitive in New York back then, and especially then, like just it was just like so much like talking and battling and like this that or whatever the case, and bringing that energy. But like you said, it was a very respect based culture. You had to earn your respect. You had to earn your spot, and there was kind of like a hierarchy in that, and it like really motivated people to want to progress in skating and stuff like that. And yeah, like about your backslide, like you saying, like you were the first one to do it at the banks. Those tricks back in the day when they were first done, it's like that's not possible. Like even like the
Mhm.
Royale was not thought to be possible until Dave Kalash kind of did the shifty Royale, or which is refutable or whatever.
Oh,
But
Brooke
the
wants to challenge that, but yeah.
yeah,
the,
but the backslide is yeah,
the,
yeah.
And listen, to be honest, so I'm looking at the chat here, and I can't tell, but listen, I see something on the Royale, and John Nicely, maybe Lurch. That's one of my most beloved friends, dude. And funny thing is that just this past weekend, I talked with Ernie. We just reconnected. So Ernie be coming
Ernie
over my
who?
house. Ernie Villarino,
Oh shit.
right?
No.
Yeah, I just synced up with Ernie, which was awesome. And Lurch is amazing, but I know. Listen, that whole San Diego crew, Ernie, Lurch, and some of the other guys were very progressive. And Lurch, I remember Lurch with Brian Bell and those guys. They used to come up with a lot of stuff, and I think they were very progressive. But when it comes to the Royale, to be honest, and I could be wrong too, but I remember because I saw it at the X Games when at very early, Beloved came up with that.
This is
Love came up with the Royale.
There's a lot of controversy around this Royale.
Yeah.
There's a lot of controversy
because Beloved, it was Beloved, and Beloved was doing that Spawn Ranch too, on the foot rail, on the really short rail. So I can't say whatever, but the first time I ever, I couldn't get what he's trying to do. Like, yo, you're slipping. What? Do a front side, like whatever, But between B and I think B and Brooke is something like it was one. It's around that realm, but it was a long time ago. But listen, if it was Lurch that did it, all power to my man. Because I love me some Lurch.
Well, he perfected the Lurch, which was the Royal Tally Topsail. So he
remember. Listen, I tell you what, Lurch perfected. Lurch did like a Royale to alley-oop soul switch, which was the smoothest, the sexiest thing I've ever seen in a video, because it was like it was continuous. It was just going like it just went. It was like, what the fuck did he do? Like it was just like one of those things, And I remember that. And remember, Lurch was a pretty big dude. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's tough to see that kind of finesse coming from a big guy.
Yeah, we had Lurch on and we kind of talked about that, but that was one of the tricks, especially back in the day when, I don't know, people like their skating in general just wasn't finesse. Like landings weren't as solid as they are like later on. But like his Royal Tally Topsail, that one, like he finessed the shit out of that. He owned it, and like I feel like not too many clips were owned like that was back in the day.
How old is that? How old is that trick? How old is that? 20?
95?
25 years?
More than that.
Listen,
27.
Listen, we still remember it. Mm-hmm. That's how good it was.
Still talking about
crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
So good.
Wow. It's crazy to go through all this this history with you. Yeah, just it's fun. Anyway, I'll shut up. Let's talk about Project Blow. I remember when you started Project Blow with Joe Navron, and I remember actually seeing you at Riverside. You were like, yo, man, I'm gonna hook you up with some wheels. I was like, no doubt. Mm-hmm. Project Blow, let's go. It was like, everything that like the FP guys did was like edgy, and everything that Joe did was really edgy and stuff, and you being combined with that was like really cool. Yeah. So how did that come to be? What was the plan behind everything there?
So listen, I developed a really, really good friendship with Joe. Joe has always been one of the most like real kids around. Never takes shit from anybody. At the beginning, people try to be like, because Joe, when it came to making video, Joe killed it. We all know that, right? I never came out on a single video that Joe made. So that goes to show. So that was like another cool click. But we developed a really good and tight friendship. And after I was out of skating, I was already kind of like doing other stuff. I always supported skating, and there were things that people were trying to draw me back in. So I was like, why don't we just make a wheel company and have the best team ever, right? Mind you that I still had really tight connections with the folks that own Hyper, Bravo, and essentially I ended up using like the material, the urethane mixes that was used for Supercomputer Robot in the course for our wheel.
Wow, Supercomputer Robot.
Remember that? Yeah. Right? So because of those connections, we kind of went there, and Joe had this awesome relationship with, we would fund it, or we would, whatever. But we had Dominic, we had Demetrius, we had Betty, we had Rashard, we had Bailey. So we just had we had the squad, and we went and dropped one. We did one run, and we said we're just going to take over the world with this, and naming it Project Blow. Number one, I didn't know what Project Blow really meant. I was kind of a little green behind the ears back then. I don't want to have to say what that is, right? And you can see in the graphics, but then someone told me what that kind of, was. And I'm like, wow, Joe, Joe's like, yeah, bro, it's controversial, right? You catch, there's a catch that you immediately get. And it was great, man. And it was incredible. And we did what we could, but, things were so tight because when it became to a matter of like, paying for these molds and these runs, it became something that Joe and I couldn't afford, on our own like that, because the industry was kind of going down, and we weren't properly organized. So, like most of the things that we would do are, like we would do, it's a little, I don't want to say joke, but we, things like that. That was a business needs to be organized, and we weren't really up to par. Even though if you guys don't know, Joe Navarone is a freaking lawyer right now.
Yeah.
Amazing, my boy. We were just we're like this, I just saw him that he kind of almost saved my life the other day. Basically, I'm hammered somewhere. Joe shows up, hey, come here, like so yeah, and that started from there, and we're still very tight. And Joe is making another run at I don't know if I should even say this. Frank O'Shea's coming back on another sport.
Another sport.
Yeah.
Poker. Is Joe doing it with poker?
No,
Okay, because poker's not a sport. Okay.
in golf.
Golf.
Whoa, that is like
Wow.
not expecting that at all.
Who saw that coming?
Listen,
For real.
Nobody.
Listen, I hope I don't get in trouble.
If you do, I got a good lawyer.
When we're
I know a
done,
good lawyer.
when we're done, I'm gonna hit him up.
Okay.
So that way he doesn't get too angry at me, because I'm like, it's just out of bag, my bad.
Well, we'll stop talking about that then. We'll let any more cats out of the bag with that one.
That's cool. Joe Navin, I'm trying to get a Franco Shade package. Wear it on the show. What's going on?
I saw some of the samples already too. They're pretty cool stuff.
Is it like golf gear?
Yeah, man, it's for real.
Franco Shea polos and shit.
He's like a, oh my God, Richard. Is that Richard on? Richard, did I mess up? Say yes, say no.
He said no.
Richard, come on.
I don't know,
It's
but
actually well-rounded. Oh,
starting.
Listen, if Richard's talking about it, I'm good.
No, we're talking about
It's
too
cool.
much already. He said starting with
okay.
golf. This is too much already.
Okay, cool.
Nah,
cool.
This is the
Oh
soft
my
drop.
God, Rolls, you said too much. Come on, Richard.
This is the soft drop. This is the soft drop.
The leak is real.
The
The leak is real. The leak is real right now. It's authentic.
Shit.
In a little bit, we're gonna actually bring some questions to the audience, and we're gonna go through the super chats. As always, have our super chats go to our guests. But before that, we have some more questions for you. Thank you for joining us once again. It's great to have you on.
This is awesome.
I gotta say, wait, is Champion? Wow, Champion's in the. Oh, someone. I thought Champion was in the chat. But
Champion
someone talking
Bump
about Champions in the chat. No, I'm tripping. Sorry. But so Rawlinson, we're talking about people after skating who were able to like transition to like really cool and exciting careers, like Tyler and then Brian. And it's funny, I was doing like the research for some of like your sections earlier before this podcast, and I was like going on YouTube, typing your name, Rawlinson Rivera, and I was seeing all this non-skating stuff come up of you, like doing other podcasts, but in like tech, in the tech atmosphere, and these other things. So, can we talk about how you transitioned from this life as a pro skater? You're, hosting ASAs. You're with Arlo, like on ESPN. Doing this thing. You're a personality. You're going on tour. Blah blah blah. You go to Japan. 2 girls around your arms at the award ceremony, and now we're getting into like this other realm. So, how did we make this transition? Because I think a lot of pro skaters have. Either like it's a smooth transition or it's a very rough transition. Yours seemed to be very smooth. And what was that like?
So it's not smooth. Don't get it twisted. Nothing is smooth, and there's been a lot of ups and downs and heartache to kind of get to there. But to be honest with you, it's been yet again another way of being ready, being able to rise to the challenge, taking chances, taking risks, and going for stuff that are out of your wheelhouse. Like I've always been passionate about tech, right? But if I tell you how I got into tech, it was because I wanted to learn how to play, or I wanted to play triple play baseball across the aisle on a plane with somebody else. We were going to a skate event because we had really long flights. So that sort of got me into, I want to get this thing to work here with that. And then the operating system didn't support whatever that kind of was. And then I got my nerd on, and then, we would have the off time in the winter. And when I wasn't sent to South America by Roses or someone to do some tour, that we would do it. I will go back home to New York and just kind of put myself into some sort of like room and learn computers, learn Windows, be a Microsoft certified engineer or something like that. So being the fact that I was doing okay, financially with skating, I didn't go to school. I didn't really. I go to college. Everyone knows that. I finished high school with John Ortiz, and I skated and I did all these things. But then most of the money that I had was coming, which is ridiculous. I just bought computers like if I was a bank. If I wanted to learn something, I had an apartment in New York where it was full of computers. Like, and each computer cost 10 to 10 grand every time I put them together. And it was stuff that people don't have in their house, right? So I just kind of got consumed into doing that, and taught myself and kind of went through many things and went through that. And then it became something that I was passionate about. I was given an opportunity to get a job. I lied about what I would, my experiences and whatnot, because I was a pro skater. I was someone who was somewhat popular, and during my life, I got caught because while I'm in a conference room, here I am on TV. How could you be that? And you're here. And I'm like, oh shit. But then I just, I do my work. I just kind of got into that. And I slowly but surely kind of kept on progressing with the IT stuff. I was an IT director in New York at a bank. Then I moved to California to do that. I ended up working for Microsoft. Jeff Laredo kind of also worked for Microsoft he worked on things like Office. I worked on the Vista operating system and some of the, what's that thing that they have in the cars? It's a Windows version that it's in the Lincoln cars that I was working on some of that. Then I worked on, I wrote some books about technology. And
you wrote some books. You wrote some books?
Yeah, I wrote a 900-page book on Amazon that was a bestseller one time, I guess, whatever, a while back.
No.
And I got a couple of, I got a couple of books out there. And
dude, that's some like high level. That's some high level nerdiness. Like, you go from like baseball to like writing 900-page tech books.
Dude,
when
it comes to nerd, people ask me, "What do you do?" I'm a nerd. I just say that I'm just a nerd. So I kept progressing.
No, that's the last thing. Sorry, I was gonna say that's the last thing people. I was gonna say that's the last thing people would think, seeing like you coming up in skate videos.
Yeah, right.
And like how kind of alpha and like in this way like boisterous you were, and like being such like this athletic person to like being like just transitioning to complete nerd. Yeah.
Listen, it's the same.
Mm-hmm.
So what made me what I am today, in terms of the opportunities that I got and how I was able to capitalize on some of these chances, was the things that I learned in skating, right? Like being me, learning how to talk, learning how to deal with people and function in certain ways. I had to do that because, I've gone from, I trained people, I taught technology to folks. Then I became someone who wrote technology. I invented technology. I own patents on technology. I own patents today that, if you look at it, some of the things that are happening on the internet today, if you look it up, I invented it. It's my name. It's awarded, and this is what I do, right?
What did you invent?
But I'm also. I'll tell you in a minute. And I'm also like a public speaker. I do all these conferences where I'm like the keynote speaker, and for the guy who used to think in Spanish in his head, right? Here I am, like going at it, right? And I make stuff up. I make stuff up on the fly, right? So if I can think of something technology wise, I'm very quick to do it, right? But the change in the transfer, to me, is very similar to skating. I love skating. Skating became my passion. Skating was never something that I ever saw as a job or working. It was fun. It was part of me. I enjoy what I did every day with everybody. It was challenging in the sense that skating evolved every day. There was new tricks, new variations, new things you had to keep up and maintain. Technology is the same, right? Where it's just as challenging. Things come up, and I need to do. I come up with things that sometimes they make it out, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it takes 5, 6, 10 years to come out, and you don't see any of that, And but the same sort of what drove the drivers and what drove me for skating drive me for this too. And when you love something and someone interests you in the way that it does with me, it will transcend, and you'll end up doing that regardless of what you do, and whether it's you will be that good, and you can do what you do in that sense. And that's how I got to that. And the funny part is that, look, I've been a chief technology officer for a couple of companies, startups, a company that I'm back at now that's, worth, $50 billion, whatever, in stock, publicly traded company, where I'm in executive meetings, like very serious executive meetings. I wear a suit. No, not completely. I wear a jacket, what we call a CTO attire in Silicon Valley, which is where my office is. And I walk in and people do pranks, and guess what's on the fucking projector? Who's the Johnniest cover?
Oh, no.
Corporate setting, bro. Okay?
No way.
Absolutely. And I have to be like, ha, ha, ha. That's not me. That's my brother.
Yeah.
And, you kind of, but, and I've been interviewed. You will find some interviews that I've done where just like this one, I've never given this much information about me because the Rawlinson people know back then, and even at work, who's like very boisterous and does all this stuff. I'm a very private person. I don't talk. I don't say shit. Right. I like to keep it to myself. So I've been asked the same thing because in the technology field that I'm in, they've asked me, how do you go from being a baseball player, pro skater, blah, blah, to this and that, and now you're in tech? And then within that, they asked me, how do you go from within tech? You climb the way you've gone. You go from being this to this. Now you're the top here. You're this, and you're running R&D. You're doing some of this stuff. You're here. I never say anything. I'm like, I just work hard. I never, I just say, you just gotta. I say what the truth is. I work hard. You capitalize on the opportunity you get, and then you try to do the best you can. But it's. I love what I do. To me, it doesn't feel like work, and it's organic. So therefore, that's what I learned that from skating, and I apply those things that I learned in skating, and how to deal with a lot of stuff. What I do every day today. It's the golden era of skating. Let me be what I am today. Without that, I wouldn't be what I am today.
Damn, life lessons from skating.
That's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
That shit carries on.
It goes deep. It goes deep. I can tell you this is how deep it goes. On March 17th, 1997, I was at our house meaning Arlo's and Mike's house. And I'm sitting on the table and I'm staying with them. And some friends walk in. And this girl walked into the house, right? And that girl that walked into my house, I was on the phone with my mother. And I said, Mom, I gotta go. And I said, I'm gonna marry that girl. Okay, that was March 17th, 1997. Years later, I married that girl. Mm-hmm. That happened in skating. That's the mother of my 3 kids. Okay?
Wow.
That all happened in skating.
See, people think you left, but like everything is still intertwined with skating no matter what. Like the sport has a hold on all of us. We can't let it go.
It never leaves. Listen, John just gave me some. So when I went to the Cup, right? I went to take my kids to see it. I hadn't put on a pair of skates in God knows how long.
I was about to ask that. Yeah.
Right. And John wants to give my kids, let me support, your store. Let me buy some skates. John's like, dude, I'll give you some. No, please let me buy these skates. And then my wife sees a pair of John's skates, which end up in, I don't understand how this even happened, which is awesome, in Vanity Fair or whatever,
Yeah.
And she likes it. I'm like, oh, great. And then John wants to send me a pair of skates. Great. She sent the whole family skates. I put on my skates, and you better believe your sweet ass that I will take it to anybody. I did not lose.
Oh, right? Hold on.
Listen, within my age group, okay, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to start doing all the crazy I was doing, but I can skate. I can look to something that Brooke would be proud of. I can still skate backwards.
So we have your Instagram handle on the screen right now. So we got to see some uploads of you skating these days now.
Okay. We'll see.
Calling you out on the show right now.
We'll see. I can skate good. I'm not saying I'm going to jump on a handrail or anything like that. I need my hands.
I want to see a nice back far on a ledge or something like that,
I could do a top sole like on a mini ramp probably.
Oh, yeah, top sole too. Hell yeah.
A little cameo at the at the Blade Cup. That'd be a nice gift.
Hey, if it when
Think
it
about
when it happens again, I will. I think I will go because now my kids want to see that. Now they know. They never knew. I never told them. My son
Oh,
was
that's cool.
shocked. My son was shocked when we were at the Blade Cup and there were people coming up to me. They were like, "Hey, I have your picture." Like, Daddy, what? I was like, at one point, Daddy was a skater. What? Daddy, I'm royalty. Daddy's fame. I'm like, well, Daddy's. I wouldn't say that, but Daddy used to skate.
That's cool. That's super
but, it was,
cool.
but it was fun. Yeah.
That's probably really cool for them to discover as well, like that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that other side of you.
And some of the very few things that I've done that I can show them, like a few cover magazines, like I put them in their rooms. But the things, anything you do for your kids. So like, I have like one time I got the cover like Team Paradise, and I have that in their rooms, and I have some other cover from I don't know some European magazine, some nonsense. But I let them see it so they can see me more than the guy who's a nerd. All I do is just talk about stuff that whatever. And they're all into technology stuff too. But I want them to be do sports, but they have to do. I don't want to. I want them to do it. I want it to come from them. Unlike, not to say anything against my my upbringing, my father or anything. Just listen. That's just a different time, different world. But I want them to pick. Right. I want them to choose and have the opportunity to choose what they like, and I'll support them either way. But their choice.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool.
That's a good way to go about it too. But John sent them skates too.
So John skates weren't that small, so I got Chris Edwards.
Oh yeah, okay. So they have like the option now to like.
So the twins have the CEs,
Yeah.
And there was a sick photo that someone took, which was like Chris, Arlo, John Julio, me, and I think Beloved surrounding my oldest son, putting his skates on. Talk about a fucking like a diamond.
Could you picture that 30 years ago?
No, dude, no. And my son, dude, this dude said, and they're like, he's a natural, dude. He's never been on skates and just took off.
Damn.
And they were like, you see? That was like awesome. That was good. That was good. And because of that, I had to start skating again.
Your kids are gonna start bringing you out now, hopefully.
No, we listen. We skate around the neighborhood, all of us,
go.
and the wife too. The wife too. But she skates. I met her at the banks. I mean, at the flats.
At the banks.
So
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's I was gonna ask. You were talking about again, like staying in touch with some guys. Are there any guys from back then who you still keep in touch with? I know Gil, you keep in contact with, and just wondering anyone from that era that you still keep in touch with to this day.
The same crew: TJ, Mike, Arlo. I've lost touch with Brian Smith a little bit. I pull a hiatus for the past 3 years or so where I disappear from everybody's life, and I kind of went to a completely dark. Just no one knew about me and anything. But Arlo, Joe, Richard when I see him, Randy Spicer, John, a lot of them. We that crew still remains, man. Some of those friendships that were developed over the years never go away. We have gatherings, get together parties, and they all back. Tyler Shields, man. Tyler Shields does some of his shows, and he always invites his friends, his skaters, and he shows them everybody love, which is like, I see now, I'm like, oh, now everyone is jocking Tyler, right? But when, I remember when like, oh, Tyler wasn't the super cool, dude. And I'm like, yeah, now you want to be whatever, but it's fine. But, Tyler brushes it off and, has fun. It's good. I see Mad, Ryan, when he comes to LA, and I see him when I go to New York, but just spend a minute. But he used to come here. His brother lives here, Gianni. I brought him out here. He lives by the beach. I see Rashard when I see him, and like now I'm going to see Ernie, and I told him to bring Lurch. Dude, that whole crew. I mean, the friendships that we've made in those years. One thing is to fall off because, life and responsibilities, but I got to tell you something. Some of my very best friends in life who have been there for me when it mattered those relationships were built during the skating time, during the golden era of skating. And those guys, people like Arlo, Joe, have been there for me in really tough times. And those are friendships that, they won't go away. They're there for you no matter what. Those are things that happened during that time, and it was skating that made them happen. So imagine.
Very cool. Very cool.
That was well said. I'm dying right now, by the way, because in the chat, Richard said, "Let's battle. I'll play you in skate." So he's ready for you.
No, listen. Here's the problem with Richard, Randy, and Arlo. They didn't fucking lose a step.
Yeah, exactly.
That fucking Richard guy. God, man, him and Randy. Randy at the cup was trying to do the top sole, the gap to another. I'm like, dude, you did that 20 years ago. You're 40. What are you doing? Same thing for Richard. Like it's just Arlo. Those guys never lose it, so you're not gonna battle me. I'll battle you maybe if we're talking about a race going down the street on a straightaway. Not because I'm
Maybe.
maybe, right? Because I still have to think about that. Because I don't know, Richard's pretty strong. That dude's still buff. He's a wall.
You got to stretch, If you stretch out, train a little bit.
I'm 45. I don't want to break. I can't. I got 3 kids. I work with my hand.
Yeah.
I'm like Ricky Bobby. I turn on my hand. It's like,
We're going to open up for questions in a little bit. There's a couple more things that I wanted to bring up before we did that. So like we said before, we prioritize the super chat questions. So if you have any questions for Rawlinson, super chat us. We split our super chats with our guests. I wanted to ask you, we had Arlo on the show and, we had Brooke on the show too. And we kind of touched on this before, but like, everyone was a character back in the day, and both Arlo and Brooke were like kind of talking about how looking back on their attitude or like their personas back in the day, and they were like, oh, like that's not at all like how I am now and stuff like that. You feel the same way too. And I know that you said even when Evan Stone like kind of not scripted, but like pushed you in a certain direction, like for the Hoax, for example, like do you look back on that stuff and like kind of cringe, or is that something that you are just like, oh, that was like part of my life, whatever, like, that's it?
That was fun. That's not who we
love it all.
We wouldn't change anything because we learned from that. And as much as we will, we feel bad for some of the things we did because now we're grown-ups and it's like, oh, so childish, so unnecessary, right? But we never really hurt anyone to the point where, some of those things. Brooke is a sweetheart, man. Brooke, Arlo, not crew, but we had, we were characters. Back then, if you wanted to make it in skating, if you wanted to make skating your life to the point where you were able to sustain your lifestyle you're living, you had to be a character. It wasn't all skills. There was room for that, but you couldn't just be all skills because, I'm proof of that. Many others are proof of that as well. And we had to do and bring our own little thing. But, I know that we have those moments when we like pick on each other, Brooke and Brian Smith, me and Sam Fogarty. How about me and Carlos Cole? I buried his head into the ground one day in a video when I'm like wrestling because I'm supposed to be this tough guy. Did anybody talk about how I almost got killed in Switzerland because I punched some dude in the face and they came after me with guns and knives and I stayed in my hotel because I was like, I'm not going out there.
What the fuck?
Right? Yeah, that's a real story, man. You try to play that tough card and you're like, oh, chill. That movie's not, it's really over. So, I don't have any regrets because whether it was wrong, whether it was whatever, it led me to where I am today. We're still friends and I can, the one person I can tell you that I did wrong and I remember I apologized to him directly, which was Calvin, right? And I went a little bit over the top when he started skating for meets and started to do things. And I was just too stupid and like not knowing and kind of forgetting my place in the world and whatever. But I apologized to him, and always wish Calvin the best because Calvin fucking was a badass. And he was always like a good dude to me too,
Yeah.
But there's nothing to regret from those days. I mean, those are learning experiences that, led us all to where we are now. Arlo wouldn't be who he is today. Brooke wouldn't be who he is today. But we are who we are, no matter where you go. Like that song says, you are who you are before you got here, and that's the way you are.
I love that.
That's a Jay-Z verse right
there. I love that. That confidence goes a long way too. Like, that whole thing is well said. Well said. Speaking of Calvin, like New York skaters and stuff like that, we've been trying to solve a mystery on this show. We've had Ryan Jacklone on the show, Dave Ortega, and there is a character who we've been trying to hunt down in New York, and we want to know if you have any info on this person. This person goes by the name of Altitude Lou.
No.
Doesn't ring a bell, nothing?
No.
Damn, I was hoping to get some info out of it. I figured like you out of all people might have like the key to this. Never heard the name Altitude Lou, huh?
No, not even close.
Ryan said he was one of the original writers for FR.
Oh, hold on a second.
Oh shit.
Ryan said this?
Ryan said this. Yes.
Ryan.
Ryan.
Ryan's fucking with you.
No, get the fuck out of here.
Ryan's fucking with you.
Get the fuck out of here. He didn't sound like he was fucking with us.
Listen, Shura, Nick, Ron, Dave, Ani, okay? Then the Dislas, Gil. The Australians don't count. But it was the New York crew was that. And from day one, before the wheels were ever made. They were so tight, dude. Gunars was another one. They were so tight. So tight. Oh, shit, Gunars. Look at this. Second X Games, Gunars took this photo.
Ooh. That's you?
Dang.
That's when I see those Misty flips fucking way the...
That is huge, too.
Yeah, that's when you hit that kicker ramp at the X Games, Gunars took that.
I always wanted to skate that setup, too. Was that what you were trying to show us before? Because you were looking through something earlier.
No, it was some like I was going to show you the pictures from the Hoax premieres, like the movie theaters, and like it has Brooke, and, it has Brooke and Evan and like Brian and like Arlo, and like we're all wearing suits, and like the crew,
Whoa, it's serious like that, huh?
Yeah, dude, I have it here. Evan Stone was here last weekend and brought the book, brought the history.
Damn, we gotta get Evan on the show.
Oh yeah, dude. Evan was like. Dude, I have those pictures because we were like, he brought these albums so that I can take photos of here we go, so that I can have them digitally, right? Oh, here we go. Let me see. There's some stuff here that goes so far back, man. Like, talk about we lived like at one point we were rock stars. I don't know if you can see that.
Who's that?
EJ, me in the red jacket with some crazy haircut, Mike in the middle, all that. Let me show you the in front of the theater. This was Craig and Evan, the guys who made the Hoax. This was me at a movie theater, bro.
The Hoax 2 premiere.
Right?
Sick.
Damn.
Dude, we will go to and get snuck into the movie theaters in Europe. Arlo being the super Mac Daddy here, right? Let me show you when the one when we're all like together, like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that look at this. This one you're gonna love. Look, that's Venice.
Oh wow!
I think that was like a Senate ad or
Arlo,
something.
Brooke.
Yeah, and I think that's Brian Kanowski in the middle, or because he's looking down. Right? I think it might be BK. But hold on, there's more.
Hey, these are gems right here.
Oh, dude, this is why Evan brought them so that I can take actual like photos with the phone or scan them and keep them. Because these are oh my god. You ready? Look. Me, John Ortiz, and Arlo. Look at John Ortiz, look.
Wow.
Yeah?
Arlo with the fiction shirt on too, after the Senate.
Dude, exactly. Right? And then look at Dave Kolash when we went to film him for the Hoax and he did that crazy hand rub. Look at that.
In Omaha?
Wow, that's Hoax 2 days.
Yeah. All right.
Wow.
That's how far back we go here. And there's some other stuff here you'll see. Hold on. Let me my God, dude. This is like the book of like Evan's got it all. Like, oh, look at this. This is when we're like driving through Chicago in a trolley, going to the theater to the premiere. Like real, like if we were real movie people, whatever. I don't know if you can see that well. Right there. I mean, these guys used to go all out. Talk about experiencing like, things like that. Then, and look, movie tickets. Look, at mid-1.
For what, Hoax? Like a Hoax premiere?
That was for Broken English. I don't remember what number is that.
3.
3, yeah.
So that was the one that we did Anarchy Across America, and then we did Broken English, which was around the world.
Right.
And you went to Israel, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here's the whole Puerto Rican crew. When we found them in Puerto Rico during that same fit shoot. Look, there's Jose Cuervo there. right?
Oh,
Dave,
sick.
right?
Christian.
Everyone there, right? Christian, God, right?
Yep.
Dude,
Wow.
it's like stuff that's. I mean, let me see. There's so many things here.
Was that Hoax too then? The Puerto Rico?
I was hoaxed. Broken
3, right?
English was like
Yeah.
4. Oh shit! Ready? All right, this is the premiere of like movie. Here's Brooke in a suit because we all decided to wear real suits. Let me
Oh
see who this
shit.
like
Oh,
fully
okay.
decked out. Like that dude went and bought a suit and it like cost like maybe like $5,000 back then, and he trashed it that same night. And there I have me smiling
Wow.
like whatever. Right? See, you know. Well, those were in movie theaters back then. We were like just kind of
That was like a paparazzi pose photo right there
totally.
too. He was like
I
Evan,
mean,
take this photo.
look at Jess and Arlo here,
Oh, wow. Look at that.
dude. Those
Those are
theaters,
awesome
like,
pictures.
those
These are
theaters were
some
like,
gems.
dude, those theaters were like packed. Like they were really big theaters that used to we see that. So we had a pretty. When I tell you that was the golden era of skating, those things. There's no joke saying that in that case.
That album should be in like a museum. There's a lot of awesome photos in there that no one's ever seen. Behind the scenes shit. That's cool. They have the ticket for the Hoax whatever 3
We have
premiere or
them
something
all.
like that.
Some of them were wheels, and we have them still.
Yeah.
They have all that memorabilia still exist.
That's awesome. Thanks for showing us that. That's cool. Sorry for all the audio listeners, by the way. You gotta have to check the YouTube video to see the pictures and shit. But
Yeah.
we're gonna move it on to questions.
Okay.
So if you have any super chat questions, get them out. If you are watching this live right now, hit the like button. Or if you're not watching live, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, please, if you don't mind. And We'll start off. We have a Patreon question first from Tim Hawk, who said, "Oh, we kind of just asked this actually." He says, "What is your current view on the pretentious behavior back in the Hoax days?" Which, yeah, we talked about that just now. Sorry, Tim. What do you got there? Hyper? Oh,
Hyper?
is that a realm?
Rolls.
It's a Rawlinson
Oh, okay.
wheel. That's the Rolls Royce wheel,
Rolls Royce.
which we got sued by Rolls Royce, by the way.
No way. Everybody was getting sued back in the day, in the 90s.
Dude, RR used the same logo, but listen, when your wheel is on Hyper, which has the largest distribution of wheels, and it's in the most stores, and it's you're pumping that Rolls Royce brand, which is not yours. They came back, like whoa,
That's Rolls Royce too.
yeah, that's to change that really quick.
Man.
It's not a little company.
Oh no.
All right, we're gonna hit it up for the super chats right now. First super chat coming in from Jank Media, who says, "My bad. Deeper, LOL. I don't know what that means. Such an entertaining and charismatic."
Deeper.
What was that from?
You want to know what that is?
How
You
come I
want to know
don't
what
know
that is?
No,
Yeah. It's a
Do
movie.
I need to say what that is?
I don't.
You
I don't.
can. You don't have to.
Am I the
It's
only
from
one?
like there's a clip from a skate video where they were
I
like,
know exactly where that's from.
yeah, they were watching a video and the video was called Deeper,
Mhm.
and they were like laughing
Mhm.
about watching it. It was, I don't know. Do you want to
I don't
elaborate?
remember
It's
it.
up to you.
It was an inappropriate video.
It was an inappropriate video.
Okay. So
And I'm
Deeper.
like, Deeper.
Such an entertaining and charismatic dude. Thanks for coming on the
You could
podcast.
use your
I'll catch the replay.
imagination. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Another super chat from John Nicely, who says, "I'll never forget South Beach NIST 1998. I think it was me, you, Feinberg, B. Bell in the room going ham. Team Hyper, so sick. What up, Double R?"
Damn, John. See? What's up? I remember right now. Just like that.
Bringing back memories.
Dude. That's awesome.
We got another super chat from Go Ronnie, who says, "Always grateful for you and Brian Smith for taking me under y'all wing and helping me grow up in my teenage years. Great memories, staying up late watching you edit High Rollers at the T-Bone offices." You were editing?
Dude, High Rollers was mine. I made it. I shot it. I edited it. I did all the music. Come on.
That was
I think it was
TBTV
two.
2. Okay.
Yeah, because B Bell got the first one. And to be honest, if I could be wrong, but I think I was the first one to do all hip hop skate video, and it was all Bad Boy, Biggie, all that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And Chris Rock too. I love Champagne. That song is.
That's right. So funny. No, that was a great video.
Yeah, man. John Julio on the cover, the head.
Of course.
And actually the start of that was my friend, this kid that we met in New York who just rapped, like freestyle the whole thing on the open, like just like
In the
and he
intro.
threw, yeah, the intro, and he threw John's name. I would just say John, and he would just end up like, and it would just be like, what? It was ridiculous, dude. It was ridiculous. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's a killer video.
Yeah.
A super chat from Alan Bombersback, who says, never knew about the baseball history. Loving this conversation. Thanks for the super chat, Alan.
Follow your heart, man. And I'll say this. Listen, I learned a quote from my favorite artist of all time, right behind me, right? And I went against this quote. I've gone against it twice in my life, and I've paid the price very heavy for that. So I will tell anyone this, and the quote is this.
I feel like I know
It's
it.
from the song Sky's the Limit. Never make moves when your heart's not in it, and live the phrase Sky's the Limit, which is a quote you see on my Instagram thing that I have. If you don't feel it in your heart, don't do it. Don't do it for money. Don't do it for, if you don't feel it, don't do it. Because it's not, I've made them, I've gone against my own sort of motto, and I failed and paid the price heavy twice.
That is one of the best hip hop quotes of all time.
It's a great quote. Love that one.
I live by it. I fucking every day. I live by it. Which is, look, I did it in skating. I'm still trying to do it now, and every day. I used to have I had a blog which I took down too because I just kind of I wanted just to disappear. But at the bottom of my blog, which was voted one of the top 20 blogs in my industry for what I was doing, that quote was at the bottom of my blog, and I carry it everywhere. So,
do you spit that at any
Very
of your conferences,
All
your
the
tech
time.
conferences? Yeah, you do.
every time. When it comes to something like that, so because people would ask really good questions about how do you make a shift in technology, and I can you ask me the right question business wise or technology wise, and I can relate that and tell you I can make sense of that in a way that you would understand it for anything. Why would I sway? Why would I invest my time and money into one piece of tech or one innovation if I'm not feeling it? Right? It's the same thing. The concept is still the same. And I do the same thing. If I feel it, I go all the way. I'll put everything I got on it. Right? And then the results, you see them.
Yeah. Good words to live by.
Life lessons from Biggie.
Yeah.
For real. We have a super chat from King Rando, who says, thanks for what you gave. We took it and got inspired. I couldn't imagine where I would have been without skating too. You guys changed my life. That's awesome.
Dude, yeah, honestly, listen, I just thought I was a punk kid who got lucky to travel the world, meet good people, have friends, and forget getting paid, just to have the experiences that I did, meet the people I did, and enjoy life where it wasn't meant for me that way. I didn't come from this. This was not in my path, as I would think, and I got a chance to do this. So I never thought I made an impact on anybody like this. And it's great because I always cater to kids. When we're in contests, I was never what you saw with the guys, with the friends. I never thought I was too much for anybody. And to see that people remember good stuff like that is good because I myself never thought that I had any sort of, I didn't want to be remembered, dude. I disappeared and I disappeared. I never went back. You never saw anything about me. I just thought I was, people will forget me. It's better that way. And it's good to hear things like that.
I don't think it is better that way, but thank you for using, this show to make somewhat of a comeback here.
I have never done an interview like this or ever spoken about my life in skating or in professional anywhere, even in my professional life. You can watch any of those things that I've done and you can see me dodging bullets, but skating is different, right? This is where I came from, and this is what facilitated all that I've done. So I have to kind of let it all out here. This is why I told you, no filter. There's nothing. You let it out, I'll answer.
Hell yeah.
That's very cool.
I love that. We're definitely grateful that you used, that you're comfortable enough with us, I guess, to talk about all this shit because this is where it all came from,
Yeah.
We got a few super chats here. No questions, just Joey Scanella showing some love. Shout out, Joey. Thanks for supporting.
Joey?
No, I don't think you know Joey. Another super chat from Stephen Wolp. No question, just also showing some love. Thanks, Stephen. King Rando, another one says, design systems, good or bad for building product? Is that a
What are we
professional
talking
question?
about here? What are we talking about here? Because I built and designed products for skating, wheels, technology, architecture. I mean, what are we talking
I think
about?
tech.
What are we talking
I think he's talking about tech.
Tech. Um, Repeat the question again.
Design systems, good or bad for building products?
Obviously, depends. Depends on requirements and what you're trying to do. If you require a system, then you may use the system. You need a platform. You need a framework. You need to start somewhere. Don't reinvent the wheel. There's everything you need is already out there. Just add your 20% to it and evolve it from there.
You got to YouTube some of Rawlinson's videos to get more info.
Listen, I've created a lot of prototypes technology wise and some other patents that I have. You know how today you guys talk about cloud and this whole cloud thing that's going on? Just Google Rawlinson Rivera patents. And if you can understand what that is, then have at it.
Damn, that's like a whole different podcast right there, I feel like.
Yeah. They're back there. They're government awarded patents. They're like the things are back there.
That's sick.
Very cool.
Hell yeah.
Are you going to bring us to the metaverse?
I don't get into that. I don't have anything. Listen, I don't have. I saw one of the things on the. Listen, that's undeniable. It's great for you guys that have an artistic take on things. Like Arlo and Brooke, they're very into that because they have the ability to do that. I got nothing but just to control the blockchain. That's all I can do. The ledger, I can just. That's all I can do. Just kind of get into that. And I work on that. I'm working on that right now to sort of address that. But I nothing metaverse. Nothing.
One step at a time. Maybe one day. You're still working on blockchain shit. That's still
It's just a technology, but
technology.
that's what holds that. That's what distributes the ledger. But the actual assets, the pictures, which is I'm not artistic in that way. And I don't think when you write like something I would create would be some sort of solution, some kind of technology, some kind of patent. It's owned by the company that I'm working for because I can't afford to file a patent on my own and wait 4 years, so 5, 6, 7, and spend and get a team of lawyers to go and fight for it and see that then come back and tell me, nah, somebody else got that.
Another different podcast, another day.
Yeah,
we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We have a super chat from Tyler Wilson who says Hoax 2 reunion video.
Tyler Wilson. Fucking Tyler. Listen, Hoax 2 reunion? Let's see. We're all still around. It could be possible.
We were talking with Brooke when he was on the show.
Listen, Hoax 2 reunion almost happened at the Blading Cup.
Yeah.
Who was missing? Brooke.
Yeah, Brooke.
All the characters were there. We were not at the same time, sporadically. But Brian was there. I was there. Beloved was there. Mike was there.
Arlo
was there. Brooke was there.
Yeah. Someone
need the
should have
photo.
FaceTime Brooke.
We need the
Someone
photo.
should have FaceTime Brooke. Throw him
Would
in
you
there.
you remember that Arlo cutout? You just have a cutout of Brooke and just put him in.
Was that from like the NIS or something like that?
No, yeah, it was a Roses cutout of Arlo and Senate when we first did the Majestic 12.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
Bro, the idea of cutouts are just hilarious. I'm sorry, just like making a cutout for someone. That's just such a hilarious idea.
No shirt with the
I'm gonna look into that. That's cool.
I said we needed to get a Jump Street. I think we need to get Jump Street cut out for like a trade show or something like that. Like sit down with us and have us like cutouts of us at a table or something like that. Maybe one day. Maybe in the metaverse. Who knows? Who knows?
Do it.
We have a super chat from Devin Ramos who says, "Who did you face slam at the '97 B3 ASA tour in New York?"
Wow. Devin,
what a question.
To be honest, I don't remember. But I know that not only did I face slam somebody, I also sent Gil to punch someone in the face across the street course on the bleachers.
What?
Yeah. And he did it.
Like he was your goon?
Well, I was Gil to do anything. If I said go, back to Gil was like a little kid, And it was I don't remember. I don't even know who it was, man. But I know that the guy was talking shit about Brian Smith.
Oh,
And I just went,
Damn.
and I just went like, and I heard it. I'm in the course practice. I'm like, oh, I can't go out because of
Yeah.
TV or whatever. I'm like, I'll be right back. That kid
Yeah.
just
I could just envision this whole thing like you're skating, you're doing your thing,
Yeah.
working on your
I'm
routes,
like,
your backslides.
I'm like,
You hear someone in the distance talking about Brian
Dude.
Smith, and you're like, time out.
time out.
Yo, Gil, come here. Go punch that guy.
Listen,
Beat his ass.
just like that. And he went
Just like that.
from the skating lounge on the course across the course.
imagine I was on
It's
TV.
New York City, baby.
That
It's
is New York City.
Let's go.
That was very real, man. That was not a joke. That was not a joke.
Washington Heights.
Yeah.
I like that little bonus story we got right there.
And listen, there are stories with the Dislas when we went to this contest in Boston, and we went on a van. Oh my God! Unfortunately, one of our beloved was kind of like the victim of that, which is not nice to say, but we love Knuff, and we just mess around with Knuff a bunch. And but the Disla, it just when you put that crew, it's just ruthless, man. It's just like you
Don't mess with
that's
the D clan.
No.
it's just not a good, Jose having them, and then you think like Robert's like so small and like he's the worst, like
Yeah. That's the gang right there.
yeah, man, yeah.
Shout out D clan, Corona Queens.
Yeah,
All
I
day.
think Jose's in the chat now. I skated with Jose last week. I'll probably skate with him tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
fucking
he's
Jose.
still ripping hard.
I'm sure, man. I'm sure those guys, you still got all that, man. It's just some things you just don't lose,
No. We have a really great super chat right here. You might have heard of this person. Arlo Eisenberg says, Rawlinson mentioned seeing his wife for the first time at our house in Venice, but how could someone who didn't know how to type in English seduce a highly educated woman over AOL Messenger?
Wow.
He called you out.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because I had him write my emails
No way.
to her. Yes.
That's why he answered.
Yo, remember that I didn't speak English that well.
What? So Arlo was
my
your translator?
translation was really off. Yo, I was a horrible writer, right? Yo, listen. Fuck. You ready? Oh my God. Arlo. This shit that's happened this past week. It's right here. I got it right here. I'm gonna show it to you. It's right here.
Let's see
It's
it.
right here.
What do you have, the transcripts?
Listen, look. My wife saved these, okay? Arlo, if you're listening, I'm gonna show the email, and for the proof, look. Trey Dimes. Remember that email address that you had? Look.
Is that an email to your wife?
Trey Dimes.
Look, dude, for 97, April 3rd.
Oh, shit.
That's my wife's name, Molly. And look, you're right. Look, and this dude, like, just look. I mean,
Wow.
dude,
You had
Who wrote that?
You had a ghostwriter. That's crazy.
Arlo was my ghostwriter.
Yeah, Arlo was your ghostwriter. That's fucking crazy.
Wow.
Yo, my wife till today says, like, he had Arlo write his, his, like, she was like, oh my God, this guy's so romantic. And I was like, oh yeah, Arlo, keep writing.
Wow.
How long until she found out that was Arlo writing to her?
I think it was pretty quick.
Okay.
She was smart. She was like, this fucking guy's not that smart. Like, he can't write like that. It's like a poet and shit. Like, come on. Wow, Arlo
That's
really
pretty
called it
good.
out.
Arlo paid $10 to call you out on that.
Arlo, did you see did you see it? Because dude, it's right there. That's the truth. That happened there, dude. That goes to show, dude. It's like
I think Arlo's flipping out
Wow.
right now that you
look,
had
even
that
Brooke,
printed out.
Hey, by the way, look, even Brooke is on.
I know we didn't get to that yet. Stop ruining it for everyone.
Listen, let me tell you this. The same day, Brooke liked my wife. Right? So Brooke
wow.
my wife, who's not my wife. We were nothing back then, right? But Brooke, Mr. Suave and all that, dude. And I can tell you this: Brooke had just in the podcast that he said that I watched him and Arlo. He said the story about the when he bought that Audi, right? Yo, so I don't have a license. I don't know how to drive, and we're in the house, and we're all gonna go to this place called the Ivy here in Beverly Hills. And I'm driving, and I get in the car, and I see the cops because Arlo, we lived in a very like sketchy neighborhood on Rose Avenue. It was horrible. They wanted to deliver pizza at the 5 o'clock, right? So here I am. Here I am. I'm trying to like drive, and I see like a cop come by, and I stop the car, get out of the car, like no, and I'm trying to walk, and Brooke is there. Brooke trying to be his usual suave self in front of this girl. And I'm like, this motherfucker, you know. And I'm like, the whole night was like, and all truth be said, I lost. I would have lost everything if it wasn't because she was into me somehow. Like Brooke, it's just that fuck. Brooke is such a suave dude. Man. It's like it would have been done. It would have been done.
Brooke said she was out of all your leagues.
Oh shit!
Well, we'll get Brooke Howard Smith with the super chat.
Brother, bring that up. Oh my god!
No, yeah, he said that. That's legit.
Optimo says that I owe Arla. He said that Arla big time. Yo, you have no idea.
Straight up, man.
We got to do this reunion podcast with everyone on for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
we let you guys go at it, and we'll just kind of mediate it. You know?
When we had Brooke on, he said that we would it would be good to get everyone together. So we've had a majority of you guys on already. I mean, we would just need Evan on it too, I guess, because we've had
Evan. Listen, Evan will be down to do it, man. If you need contact, I'll put you in contact with Evan. Arlo can put you in contact with Evan. You know, we all in contact with Evan.
We got to make that happen. We got to make that happen.
Yeah,
I
heard Arlo and Brooke, and I was like, I'll do it. You know, and look, you're right.
There we go. And now everyone's watching you too. We have a super chat from Richard Johnson. No question, just showing some love. Same thing from Brandon Beam. Also, no question, just showing some love. Thank you, Brandon.
Awesome.
That was over the super chats for now. Billy, do you have?
We have a few regular questions that we're going to take, and then we'll take you to our Patreon where we're going to go through some sections. We're going to watch the battle with you and Calvin together at the famous one, the first street battle of all time, documented in rollerblading history in Hoax 2 in New York City at the Brooklyn Banks. So that'll be fun. And we have another couple of things, some Hoax 5 stuff to go through. So if you're not a Patreon, please consider being one. You could be one for as little as $3 a month for this exclusive content with Rawlinson and many other things. So check that out. But now we got some questions. I'm going to take some of these questions. And first one is Texas Rob 28. I'm curious about this too. Where is he living? Where do you live?
Me? I live in LA. You're
in LA. Okay.
I'm not going to give you my address directly because
no. We're not looking for your postal code.
No, I'm that. Sometimes I have my stupid still things happen. I was so happy that I got this patent awarded, and I put it on LinkedIn with my fucking address. And some guy goes like, "Really? This is where you live?" Now I know. Like picture my house, and I was like, oh no, and I was like, oh shit, so like yeah. But I've been living in LA since like my definite move and never went back to never consider bi-coastal again was since 2006 or 7. Been here since.
That's much later than I thought.
Yeah.
So all the New York guys calling you a sellout, they were right.
I was about to say, that's when you sold out officially.
Yeah, but I'll do this. Where you at now?
Hey man, I hear that. Hey, I'm a New Yorker in California too, so I know.
I know both you guys sold out.
No, listen, I'm not referring about like career, money, anything like that. I'm referring about this. Isn't there a fucking snow somewhere now in New York? You should see my backyard, buddy. Nice and green. Super cool weather, bro. That's where I'm at right now.
I am.
We got the pictures. We got the pictures right there, right here. If you want.
Yeah.
There we go.
And we also got the Biggie too in the background, so you
got the Biggie exactly. We keep it in the home. We keep it close.
That's perfect.
And look, this never leaves the desk or anything, bro.
Ooh.
Oh, see,
staple, bro.
I'm a Mets guy, but I know you're a Yankee guy. Respect that. You're in the Heights. You have to be a Yankee guy, and you're Dominican, so it's signed off. But yeah,
don't say the wrong things here. Don't say Mets.
That's it. No, come on, Wilson Ramos, let's go. All right, we'll talk about that later. But okay, so Harry Disla says, huge shout out, Harry Disla. Ask him why his Dominican ass had a Puerto Rican flag on his first pro wheel. That's a good question.
Excellent question.
Who fucked up?
No, Harry, and I think Harry and Jose, they asked me that shit too. They're like, motherfucker, you're not Puerto Rican, But I did it as a proper way because half of my family is Puerto Rican. I'm not. You know how we sometimes we're like half this, half that. I am 100% Dominican, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to show crazy shit. Like I thought this way. I wanted to show that whole Hispanic culture. Make it inclusive and love, and I felt that was good. And back then, I love Ray. I mean, still today, love Ray Mendez. And Ray Mendez was working on a project called Cityscape. And Ray Mendez was using that to always do good things and help kids and whatever. So I actually did that to let Ray use whatever value will come out of my brand in my box, and I put in the box of the wheel it says Cityscape, so that Ray can use that and kind of make something positive out of that. And that's the reason why that wheel has that flag there, Harry. But if you didn't know this, they fucked up on the Dominican flag because they reversed the colors. They basically put the Dominican flag on a war status.
Oh shit!
I have that wheel still. We still have them. Yeah, we still have them.
Very cool.
Yo, his girlfriend. Oh my God. Yo, you're right. My girlfriend at that time was Jessica, and she was Puerto Rican. But no, trust me, it wasn't her.
Oh yeah, Jose called you out.
When I got a pro wheel, I was already on tamale, so it's like it wasn't. Yeah.
Everyone's trying to call you out right now.
It's just listen. That's when you know that those are your boys. That's when
this is love.
To be honest with you, if you can clown me and take shots at me like that, that's when you feel love. Because who can do that?
That's love.
At this point in life, that's when you feel love. It's like, okay, I get it. Let's do it. It's good. That's all. Cool. I appreciate it.
We got. We'll take one more question. We've had you on for quite a bit before we go to our Patreon, but the one more that we're going to take is, I was expecting this question. I was waiting for it. I knew it was coming. Of today's current bladers, Aldelega says, of today's current bladers, who would Rawls deem as the Johnniest fella?
Wow. I'm going to be 100,000,000% honest. I couldn't tell you because I just haven't been keeping up. I've been in the hole.
He's honest.
I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to tell you some nonsense. But just remember that the Johnniest was something that was created by Arlo. I used to say that because if you remember, that's a quote from the Mad Rapper on the 50 Cent album. I'm the Johnniest. I'm the Mad Rapper. Come on, dog. I'm the Johnniest. That came from that. Okay. Because I was always listening to that stuff back in the day. And for that Skater magazine, it was Arlo's idea to have BK interview me as two different personalities and have like the mustache and the other guy after I was, okay. But I think, listen, if you're still skating, you're all the Johnniest. Put it that way. Put it that way. If you're all out there doing it and keeping it going, you're all the Johnniest because there are no more Johnniest. You're all it. So just keep it going.
Everyone is the Johnniest.
Yeah. You're all Johnnies. And that means, good.
Yeah.
So.
No doubt. Well, Rawlinson, this has been an amazing experience. We've been on this for 2 hours, 20 minutes, and we're going to keep you briefly again for hopefully not too long, but some interesting stuff that we can go through from the past and go down nostalgia lane. Again, if you aren't, please consider being a Patreon, $3 a month. If you're watching, please hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell, go to our iTunes, give us a review. But Rawlinson, thank you for joining us. Is there any parting words, shout outs, last words you would like to, words of wisdom, any last things you would like to impart on the people watching in the community?
Never give up. Don't care what people say about skating. Will live forever. It's the best time of my life. I call it the golden days, and they'll never die.
That's right. Goonies never say die. Let's go.
Yeah. I was waiting for the Biggie quote one more time.
Yeah, and I was going to say that,
Yeah.
Don't make moves unless your heart's in it, and live the phrase, sky's the limit. Maintain that. Always keep going, and you'll make it. So it's all good. Don't violate that.
Hell yeah. Rawlinson, thank you so much for coming on. We had a last minute super chat, no question, but Chad Horn is showing some love as usual. A loyal viewer, Chad. Rawlinson, this has been awesome. Fuck yeah, thanks for coming out. This is like really cool seeing you back. Hearing you talk about all these things. You have a pretty good memory, to remember all these things from a while ago.
You don't forget the best times of your life. You don't. I choose not to. So
there's a lot of
people tend to remember the bad stuff. I'm the opposite. I forget the bad stuff and remember the good stuff.
You have a good filter in
cool.
your ears. Everybody else, thanks for watching. We're gonna do some exclusive videos for Patreon. Everybody, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching live. Rawlinson, just hang out here. Don't go anywhere.
You got it.
All right, cool. Peace, everybody.